I'm kind of like an old lady at heart, so I don't know a lot of
Thank you.
like
Amen.
youth slang.
Uh-huh.
And
Wow.
so,
That
like I've
was
had to learn.
you've showed your age with that one line.
I'm
Youth
yeah.
slang.
I'm literally I just turned 23, but like I don't
That's
know
not that
anything
bad. What are
about.
you talking
No,
about?
I'm
That's
saying I'm
so
an old
young.
soul. Someone
Okay.
came into my chat
Okay.
once and they said, "Hey, like, do you like BBC?" And I was like, "The British Broadcasting Channel? I love it. I've watched a bunch of
Stop.
shows on that.
Stop
I shit
that.
you not. I
That's
shit you
funny.
not."
There she is, guys. Aya. Aya. Oh my
Hello.
goodness. How are you doing today? How are you doing today, Aya? What you been up
I'm
to?
doing all right. I'd slept most of the day, but
Hmm.
I'm alive now.
What time did you wake up?
So I woke up at 12, but I was taking Benadryl today, and that like
Hmm.
knocked me on my ass for a couple hours after I woke up. So I like woke up, ate, and then fell back asleep.
Hmm.
So it's been a
Oh my
time.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're having a day then. You're
Yeah,
having a
a
day.
little bit.
Don't worry. I'll tell you ahead of time. All right. This show, the easiest thing in the world. All right. There's no. It's literally share as much as you'd like. We're here to talk. Very casual conversation. But Aya, thank you so much for your time. I usually start off by telling them, telling the streamer how we met, and I think our the way our paths have crossed is a little bit more unique. I had seen your stream before I even streamed. I would say roughly around February of this past year. And it was, I remember specifically, it was Peyton, not Peyton, had rated you. And I was like, okay, like, let's see what's going on here. I followed your, oh my goodness. Is that
Sorry, that's
Maui?
my cat. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, adorable. But yeah, Peyton had rated you. I followed for a little bit, or I checked you out for a bit. Realized I didn't follow until the next time, and I had changed my name, or no, my name was still Moms for Christ. And you called me out on that. You were like, "Wait, Moms for Christ, are you actual mother? Are you a woman at all? Are you of the Lord?" And you're like, "I'm so sorry, Moms. I had no idea who you were. I had no idea. Like, I thought you were legitimately like a religious mom that came to watch my stream and was ready to
Yep.
judge me." And I felt so bad. I was like, I wish I didn't give off that energy. But total, I mean, from the religious part, maybe, but like a mom, all that jazz, not at all. So like, the fact that we're even able to sit here and talk today, I find that very special. That's how I found you. I've been watching, I lurk a lot, all right? To be fair, I lurk on a lot of channels. And so yours has been one of those that I have checked out. I gassed you up on that neon sign. That neon sign is way too sick. All right. My own brother was like, "You might want one of those. All right. You might have to check that one out." But yeah, no, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And you just, you actually, and I haven't even gotten to the point. You're the one who won the raffle. You
Oh
won the,
yeah.
which was unnecessary at all. You just doubled down the opportunity there. But very excited to be hanging out and talking with you today. Let's start from the top. All right, Aya. The same question I've asked every. You're number 36
Oh
officially.
damn.
All right. So we've been doing this for quite a while, but it's always unique. It's always special. The first question being always the same. How long have you had your Twitch account in general?
Exactly about how long I've been streaming, which is about a little over a year now, maybe getting closer to a year and a half.
Did
Yeah.
you start synonymously?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
I didn't know about Twitch until basically I was kind of told by someone to stream, and then I was like, "Oh, okay." So I checked it out and I kind of started, which was super jarring because I had no
Hmm.
idea what I was doing or what anything was or what a
Yeah.
mod was, and
Yeah.
yeah. So I kind of learned it all at once.
Interesting. So let's take a step back from there a little bit. So you had a friend that was like, "Aya, you need to consider Twitch," and you had no idea what the platform was at the time.
Yeah. So what happened was it was kind of a weird process of happening. So I decided I got a PS4 because I hadn't played games in forever, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get one. It's on sale, and then my brother and his girlfriend at the time straight up sat me down like intervention style, and they're like, hey, we think you should stream, and I was like, what? Like I had no idea what they were talking about. So to give me an idea of it, they showed me Pokimane, which to me was like to each his own, but like I can't do that. Like if I wanted to be a character and do that, okay, that's one thing, but like I know that that's not sustainable for me. You know, I'm not like a cutesy personality. So I was like, if that's all that is, like I can't do that. So um I kind of started looking around at like other female streamers, and then I discovered the world of like titty streaming. And again, to each his own. Like I say, you do you. You're making money that way.
Yeah.
Respect. Like, you know, if you can buy a house off that, like more power to you. But also, that's not my thing. So I was getting a little intimidated by it, but I decided to just kind of like jump in and do it. I didn't even know that like just chatting was a category. So I kind of I was streaming on my little MacBook, and it was the crappiest quality you could imagine, because it was just not, I was streaming on Wi-Fi, like I didn't know anything about anything. But I kind of decided like, okay, like we'll give it a try, we'll see. And I thought it would be like I'll do it for 2 weeks and then be done with it kind of thing. But then I kind of found that I really enjoyed it, and I really liked it, and I liked the idea of getting to engage with people and talk with people and getting to know people from, you know, the other side of the country or the other side of the world. Like I just really started to, hey, oh my god, that's my water. No, sorry, she's trying to steal my water.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was something that I could pour a lot of time into and not feel like it was like I was spending that much time doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So, look, even you know, taking it further back from there, like, do you feel like jumping into Twitch, you know, without too much research? I mean, I know you mentioned Pokimane and maybe a couple others, but there's a whole culture, and this is something I'm still even developing and trying to gain an understanding on. There's a whole culture and the terminology, like you said. Do you feel like it's something that you should just jump into and get started and learn from the ground running, or something of, you know, maybe take a month or a couple weeks and pop into other streams and kind of take notes and understand what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's definitely for one, it kind of depends on the person, but
Yeah.
I think definitely when I first started, I started watching a lot of different streams. Kind of, I just picked them at random because I had no idea what I was looking for.
Yeah.
But it kind of, that's how I learned a little bit about overlays, like what people typically do for their overlays, or you know, what they do for kind of like their setup. And like it gave me a better idea. It helped me kind of acclimate as I was starting. It was definitely, I mean, it's one way to learn things, but it's definitely overwhelming, because people would come in and say stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. What's a kappa? Like, what's a pogger? I don't. Is that like the passion orange guava juice? Like, I had no idea. And I am kind of like an old lady at heart, so I don't know a lot of like.
Thank you.
Like
Amen.
Youth slang.
And wow.
So, you know, like, I've had to learn.
You've showed your age with that one line. Slang.
I'm literally, I just turned 23, but like, I
That's
don't know
not that bad.
about.
What are you talking about?
No, I'm
That's
saying
so
I'm an
young.
old soul.
Okay.
Someone came into my chat once and they said, hey, like, do you like BBC? And I was like, the British Broadcasting Channel? I love it. I've watched a bunch of shows on that.
Stop that.
Shit you not.
That's
Shit you not. It wasn't until like a little bit later when someone said it again to a tweet, and I was like, that doesn't mean the same thing that I thought it did. And then I looked it up on Urban Dictionary, and I was
Parliament?
like, oh, shit.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, now I know.
What? See, that's the thing. Like, I'm fascinated by that, Aya. Like the fact that you jumped into this cold pool and you're just embracing the culture and you're trying to figure out what to do and how to operate is fascinating to me. And you've been doing this for over like a year and a half, correct? Is that what you said?
Yeah, just about.
About a year and a half. So, you know, when you were given that proposition by your family, hey, Aya, you should really consider streaming. What was going through your head? Was it initially already off the bat like an interest, or is it something that needed to be convinced to you?
I mean, I was definitely interested in it because I think as a medium of like I've been an actor performer type person since I was pretty young, so that kind of appealed to me a little bit because I had tried to do YouTube years ago, like when I started college, and the thing that was hard for me with that is you have to put in so much time not only to film it, but then you've got to edit it, you've got to put it together, you've got to, like, there's so many components to that.
Yeah.
And I was going into my senior year of college at that point, and so I was like, I know I don't have time to try to do YouTube and all that. Like, I have to balance school, rehearsal, like all that kind of stuff. So it appealed to me in that, yes, I put in work and time outside of stream. Like, I'll spend a lot of time revamping. Like, I'll like revamp an overlay, and then like just a month later I hate it again. I want to do something new, and like I'm always kind of changing stuff. But I liked the idea also of interacting with people in real time, because I feel like it brings a human aspect to like a performative thing, where YouTube, you're talking to your camera, like you're talking to your audience, but you're talking to your camera typically when you're recording. And this, like, I'm still technically talking to my camera, but I know I'm having a conversation with people.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I enjoy, is like it's still kind of a form of human interaction. And I'm a pretty introverted person normally. So this gave me a way to be like my extroverted self, because it was in an area of comfort for me. I'm in my own place. I'm not surrounded by a bunch of people, but I'm still with a bunch of people. So it was kind of like that happy medium. So I was definitely, when I first started looking into it at surface level, I was interested. Then I realized how much stuff I'd have to figure out and learn, like OBS and all that stuff. That terrified me. I had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know what Discord was. Like, it was jumping in head first, and I felt like I was, the first time I tried to stream on my laptop, it crapped out on me. So the first couple of streams I did were just on my phone. Yeah. So, and it was like one or two people would stop by, and I'd be like, oh my God, there's someone here. Like, I'd get so excited. And my roommate came by and watched a couple times, and it was just like her and I basically hanging out. But I found that there were definitely a lot of friendly people who were willing to help me learn what I was doing and figure out kind of how to do it. And so that's what became a little bit less intimidating about it, is like I didn't feel like I was kind of alone, because it wasn't like I came into it already being a part of communities and knowing people on the platform. I knew no one at all. So I kind of had to start making friends from scratch, which was also terrifying. But I don't know, like I started to meet people and realize, okay, like it's not as it's still pretty intimidating, but not as intimidating as I thought it would be.
Yeah, definitely. With regards to like your very first stream, of course, we're all anxious, we're excited. This is a whole new experience. I hope it goes well. When you hit that go live button for the first time, Aya, what happened? How did you feel? What was going through your head? How was the stream in general? What did you even do, if you can remember?
I mean, my first thought was, did I do it right? Like, am I actually streaming? Because it was on, I think it was on my laptop the first time that I did it, before it kind of crapped out on me. And I was like, I had a thing with that laptop that if I hit the enter key at any point, it started streaming. So there were a couple streams that I started and didn't realize I had started.
Holy cow.
Yeah, not a good time. But I think the first stream, I really just kind of sat there and I was like, okay, I have to be interesting. I have to be like, it was probably like a very over-exaggerated version of myself, because it was like, I have to be interesting because I have to make up for my lack of tits. Like that was what was going through my head. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like I feel like I was probably pushing a little bit to be an internet personality. But
here's the thing, you're not the only one. I thought the same thing the moment I went live too. So it's like we're in the same boat. I had to make up for my lack of tits, and it's just so. So you became, when you say personality, were you more like YouTuber TV, like, hey guys, I'm Aya and welcome to my channel? What do you mean by that, personality?
I feel like an overly excitable version of myself. I feel like I've always hated my voice. It's like pretty low for like a female or whatever. And so I feel like it kind of like jumped up. So I do a thing where I'm like, hi guys, it's really nice to meet you. I'm really excited. And so I talk higher. So I'm like, am I more feminine now? Like, is this excited? Do I sound more engaged in the conversation? I was definitely way too in my head about it. I used to wear like a shit ton of, like, bad example because I'm wearing makeup today, but I used to wear a shit ton of makeup every stream. I wouldn't dare to stream without makeup on. And now like I'll show up and be like, I just woke up, but here we are. We're starting, like,
this is what you
get. I was like, if you don't like it, you're bye,
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot more I was definitely a lot more on guard and terrified because I didn't know what to expect. And I got a lot more troll raids back then when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really have any mods because I didn't know what that was. I
Oh,
didn't know anyone or
Jesus.
trust anyone. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, what do I do? How do I get rid of it?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, all the first streams were basically me kind of scrambling to figure out what I was doing. I streamed for a long time the first couple times that I streamed. Like I remember one of the first streams. Well, the first stream that I had, it cut out, so I kind of gave up. But then it was like the second one I did later that day because I was so excited by it that I did 2 that day. The later one I did was like 6 hours or something.
Oh, wow.
And I just kept, every time, like I was about to end at like 4 hours and 3 people followed, and I'm like, well, 3 people followed. I have to keep going, and I just went for another 2 hours.
I don't know if
was
that's
so
a conversion.
excited.
Yeah.
I was just so excited by people engaging and like wanting to hang out that I was like, oh my god, I can't stop. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you can't lose the momentum. I think that's what Jerry
Yeah.
Seinfeld said about stand-up. When there's a bit that's working, you stay in the bit, you stay in the character, you stay in that moment because you want to squeeze as much of it as possible. For
Yeah.
when did that mentality start to change, Aya? When did you start feeling comfortable? When did the consistency or say even just your what you are today in terms of streaming and being a streamer, when did that come into volition?
That's kind of an interesting question because I've actually been like internally fighting myself because I've had people be like, "You've changed," and I'm like, "But how?" Because I feel like I've always been kind of consistent. Some people have said I've become like softer, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like I'm always, at the end of the day, I don't want to make people feel bad. Like I don't want to be like, I'll dick around. Like don't get me
Okay.
wrong. And my thing, I always started like if trolls mess with me, I mess with them back. Like one of my favorite clips that I have no recollection of, but I'm just sitting there and I read a comment. Someone's like, "Oh, what's the smallest like dick you've ever seen?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't look at many dicks, but probably yours." Like just like being able to like throw it back
okay.
at them.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, because like I'm like, if you come in here with that energy, I'll give it back
Yeah.
to you, and if you can't handle it, then that's on you for coming in with that energy.
Is that
you
true?
know?
True.
So it's kind of I feel like maybe I have softened a little bit if it's because I feel like I also have a closer knit group now. Like I feel like I've solidified a community, and so it's a lot of the same people, and so we mess with each other, but I'm not going to I'm not going to be like needlessly mean to them if I don't, like I don't like to make people feel bad. So
Yeah. No, definitely.
But I think so. I started streaming when I was at home over the summer in Texas, where I grew up with my parents, and then I went back out to school in California. And I think within the couple months that I went back to school, I think that's also when I solidified because I felt like it was my own space, like I could kind of figure it out. And I feel like personality-wise, within the first couple of months, I kind of relaxed into myself and what my version of streaming is, not trying to be a specific kind of streamer or to try to specifically appeal to people and just being like understanding like I'm gonna be myself and people either like that and hang out or they won't.
Yeah.
And what I found is typically the feedback that I get from people who stick around, they're like, yeah, no, I like the vibe of this channel. It's like chill, or I like how we get to hang out. Like I like that it's not like this. And so it's just kind of figuring out like where I fit in among all the different kind of streamers.
Yeah, definitely.
Because no two are alike.
I really like, the fact that I think there's definitely advantages and disadvantages of just going on Twitch and starting off and not really looking around too much because in my opinion, it's the purest form. Like you have no bias. You're not looking at the bigger streamers thinking like, this is what's working and I want to do this. It's truly you presented at its core, and then you kind of adjust accordingly. Like you said, I like how you said you're not as, or at least some people in your community would say you're not as mean or edgy or any of that. But it's true, like, when you have a regular and you're able to talk to that regular day in, day out for however long, and they understand who you are, they can understand your humor, then you're allowed that leniency to be edgier. But if someone's coming in, all right, and you only have 30 seconds to make an impression, and they just hear you popping off, the hell yeah, they're not going to stick around. They're like, who the hell is this? What is this energy? But I like that. Here's the thing, all right? I will not even lie. I have your stream up right now, okay? and I have some questions. I just have a couple questions
Hmm.
for you about your channel points. I noticed you added a lot of new ones, and I love them all. Honestly, I took a look at them all. A lot of them are voice activation ones, which I absolutely I can't believe I have not seen this before. I'll be honest with you. I've not seen too many people that have the voice activated ones. If I'm correct when I say like it's an avocado, the soiled it ones, the spooked and all that. Correct? These are all voice panel activated ones.
Yeah, so when you redeem it, it'll play like a sound clip on stream.
Awesome. But the ones that I'm a little bit more curious about, here's the ones. For example, these are the exercise themed ones. It
Yeah.
says, for 7,000, you will attempt a handstand. I'm not going to ask you to
Yes.
do that right now. I'm not going to, that's too much work. But has someone redeemed that? And how did that go? I noticed it says attempt and not actually do one.
It's been redeemed a couple of times. So I have like a staircase right over there. And so I kind of just like lean up against it. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get the momentum to like get up there. Um, but it's okay. I haven't like injured myself
Okay.
yet doing it.
Not
so it's
yet.
been generally successful.
But you never know, guys. Don't stop
Yeah.
cashing in, all right? You never know. How about this one? I love this one. This one's got to be. I feel like since they're the same price, more people. If I was between the 7,000, I don't know which one I'd choose because this next one's also good. It says for another 7,000, give Maui a treat. Clearly, is there a cap for that? Like a cap?
Yeah, it's two per stream because
Wow.
I love my cat, but she's a chonky baby, so I gotta regulate it a little bit. She's
Oh.
been trained too, so whenever I come over here and start talking at my computer, like what happened when we first started the call,
Yeah.
she'll come over and scream at me because she's like, "This is when I get treats." So I can't do Zoom calls now. I'll be like in the middle of trying to do like a Zoom interview or call or something, and she'll be like screaming at me.
That's so great. As a matter of fact, she's just in the background right now. She's just eyeing. She's like,
just
"This is
waiting.
not the same show. This is not the same show."
It's not the same thing. Yeah.
Here's one you might have to you might have to explain this one because I'm not very sure. For 25,000, you will rock a duck hat. It says is duck hat. Wear duck hat for 5 minutes. What is this duck hat?
This duck hat,
Oh, you have it on you.
I have it. This little thing is like all my stream props.
Oh.
I got this from the Japanese dollar store. When I went to Japan forever ago. It was at the 100 yen store, and I just really liked it, so I got it, and I've had it ever since. Oh yeah, they're using the duck emote now.
That's so
this
cool.
one was modified. The emote that's in chat right now is modified for Halloween, but everyone voted to keep Laser Eye Duck
I like
instead
the
of
laser.
the regular one.
Yeah.
So
this looks sick. Oh, that's so awesome. The last one I do have questions on. Actually, let's do two. Two more I have questions on. For 50,000, Aya. For 50,000. It says Aya has to take a compliment. All right. And the description, let's see the description here. It says Aya isn't allowed to dodge your compliment awkwardly to the best of her ability. One compliment from the Redeemer. What is going on here? I have 50,000 for nice words.
I don't like compliments. No, Boone, you broke the rules. That's why. Okay, sorry. I just saw Boone yelling about it, but I don't know. I don't respond well to positive reinforcement. Or just general compliments. I was raised under the strict reinforcements of if you don't do well, then you just, it's more negative reinforcement than positive reinforcement. So
But what is it about that though? What is it like?
So like I get uncomfortable, I think. I mean part of it's also like it's like past stuff because for me compliments never seem to align with how I see myself, and like that's kind of one of the things that makes me uncomfortable about it, because like people will say things and like I hear it, and then it just feels like it's not me, or I'm like, oh, you must not really know me, like I don't handle it well, and I think part of it's also because I've had situations where like my younger sister and I would be together and someone would compliment me and not her. And I've just learned to kind of hate it because she'd feel bad about herself, and then I'd feel bad because she feels bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's happened with friends where like if I get complimented, they don't, then my friends will grow to resent me. And so it's kind of like that's where I think that's where I just kind of started self-deprecating. That's kind of always been my thing. And my joke is like I'll hate myself more than anyone else can ever hate me. So like bring it on.
But isn't that a them problem and not a you problem?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm too hypersensitive of what other people think. And like especially people who I'm closer to. I get really hypersensitive to like what do they think about me? Do they dislike me? But that's a whole high school thing.
Oh my goodness. And here we go. We got a raid here for 17 million. I am Hadrell. Am I saying that right? Hadriel. Oh, I'm so sorry. Absolutely
it's okay, you can
butchered.
call him Hadriel. It makes him mad. It's funny.
Oh my gosh, Hadriel, I'm so sorry. Oh, look at this. Oh wow, he even already knew. His raid message is already phonetic. He knew. He looked at me, he's like, oh, this guy's gonna fucking butcher it. He's gonna fucking butcher it. Oh man, how you doing, my man? Thank you so much for the raid, dude. Thanks for joining us. Notice how I just went with dude now. I can't be bothered. I can't afford it. I can't afford it. Hadriel, all right. Thank you so much for the raid. Thanks for joining us here. For those of you that are new here, I am Moms Online. This is another episode of Inside the Streamer Studio, and today we are joined with AyaYoshi, just petting up Maui, waiting for a treat. And actually, you guys came at just the right time. I have one more question about your channel points, and then we'll get into another part of the segment that I don't know if I don't know if we're prepared for it, but we'll see. For 200,000 points, Aya, for 200,000 points, it says I will wear a wig for a little bit, and it's specifically the purple wig. What is up with that? Give me the lore on that channel point.
I got this purple wig. So in college, I played a demon queen character, and I got to wear a purple wig, and I was obsessed with it. So I got it, and I love it. I've worn it a couple of times. It's such a high redeem just because I have really thick hair and a lot of it, so it's just a pain in the ass to put up in a wig. So Cass actually just commented, it's a demon queen emote that I think that it used to be one of my original emotes, but now it's like a bit emote. But yeah, it's probably, I don't know, I've always wanted purple hair, but doing the acting thing, I can't do anything fun or adventurous with my hair because, I have to be like neutral. So
yeah. True. I like that. I like it. So then every now and then that character, has anyone redeemed that 500,000?
I don't think anyone has yet. I mean, our current, like, one of the biggest overall, like, overarching sub goals is if we can get 400 subs within the month, it's a Demon Queen stream. So basically, I'll just dress up as a Demon Queen and be mean to everyone the whole stream.
Oh my God.
So,
guys, what are you doing? What are you doing?
The last one we had was either going to be a horror stream or an e-girl stream. And Brandon Gritch had people go into the Twitter poll to just skewer it heavily e-girl, and so I had to do an e-girl stream which went like very cutesy e-girl vibes, which again, not my vibes. And I kept trying to end that stream like every couple, I'd be like, all right guys, should we call it? Are we done?
Should we call it, guys? Should we call
Yeah, because I had to take compliments, I had to be cutesy and nice, I had to be like flirty and whatever.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was not my vibe.
That's not you. I wish I did not find that in your VOD history there, but I will say this right now as a transition piece, you did great on the first part, all right? Your channel points, explain that. That's the layup, all right? That's the softball of a question of a segment. This next segment here, I have 3 clips from your channel that I picked at random. I know. This is every time. It's brutal. It's every time. And it's from least embarrassing to most. All right.
Okay. Yes.
So, yeah, we'll start off slow. I do have a question, though, with this one. Let me switch over to the clip cam here. All right. So right here we have, it is titled Food Challenge Nasty.
No.
And I have no idea. Let's give it a look first, and then I'll have you explain what in the world are you eating, all right? One moment.
I'm just like already reliving it.
Oh, shit. What in the world?
I haven't. That was my bad for making a food challenge redeem.
What was that? What did you eat? All
It was
right.
like tuna fish from a can mixed with peanut butter. And it just, the texture was creamy but chunky, but not chunky in a chunky peanut butter way, like very salty, just not good.
That's the but those two, peanut
Just
butter
those
and
two.
tuna.
There was once someone made me do half and half ketchup, applesauce, and like mochi ice cream.
What are
That
these?
was bad too.
What are these
Or
perverts?
Swiss cheese, mustard, and was that also applesauce? I don't know. Something. Yeah. It just people. Yeah, people would come up with the grossest combinations
Yeah.
that they could, and then I was like, I'm done with this.
This
I
is
don't-
ridiculous. What the hell? Were you
was
the
so
kid in grade
bad.
school that was like, I'll give you a quarter if you eat this grass?
No, no, I was not like that. I think at this point I was just wanted to be like, I want to be interesting, and at the cost of my taste buds and stomach. Yeah.
That was brutal. Yeah. I literally, I've watched this like 5 times and I could not figure out what was
Yeah.
in that cup. I tried my best. Wait a second. Aya. Is this truly your birthday today?
No, it's a channel joke.
Oh,
Every
God.
day,
Fuck
every
me.
day it's my
Fuck me.
birthday.
I was going to say.
No, don't. I've become numb to it. I've become so numb.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Wow. Big day, guys. Big birthday for AyaYoshi. Holy cow. No. All right. The next one here, Aya, I'd love for you to explain. It just says Maui the DJ. And this one, there's even a little Easter egg of a topic at the very end. But let's watch it through and through, all right?
When
I don't know what that was. I don't.
Maui,
I don't know what that was.
I need you to move your butt. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here.
I'm taking a nap here.
I'm gonna take a nap here. She kept putting her butt on the soundboard, and I could not. It's real good. I'm not a girl because I'd be doing some BS right now for money. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There have been times that I have genuinely considered. Oh no.
All right, and we'll stop right there. So, not only did we get into your topic about, I'll try not to just leave it on there. Not only did we just get into the topic of your kitty, very cute kitty, jumping on your sound pad, which is hilarious. I don't know what it is. It was so candid, so innocent, but so funny. That needs to be more of a thing, I believe, in my opinion. Content-wise, I found that hilarious. And then somehow, because at the end of the clip, I was like, okay, that's a really cute clip. That's hilarious. Then at the this is like one of those fucking like season finales, these cliffhangers that you gave them. So yeah, I genuinely thought about starting an OnlyFans and I couldn't. What the heck is this discussion, Aya? What the heck is this discussion?
Oh my god, I think we were talking about someone. I've heard from multiple people. They're like, oh yeah, I know someone who like bought a house from it or like bought a car. And so, especially throughout quarantine and COVID, when like nothing is happening job wise, like there have been moments where I'm like, I could do that. I think I could do that. And
you
then very
just said
quickly-
you would not be a titty dreamer, and then now you're over here being like, maybe the OnlyFans is the only way.
Everybody has their moments of doubt. I doubt myself all the time. But there have been moments where I'm like, in theory, I could do that. And I think it's in part because as a female, I'm envious of the women who have the confidence for it.
Okay,
I don't have the confidence for it. So like, it's one of those, like, in theory, I'm like, I wish that I had the ability to do that and be like, yeah, what of it, So
I think
that was that.
I think for me, it's more of like, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on the confidence thing. That's such a big, that's something that I don't think is rated enough or understood enough, because more people just focus on the monetary gains rather than the mindset to even be like, all right, I'm going to put myself out there in a very vulnerable way. That being said, it was just a moment of just like, you know what? I could fucking do it. It sounds like it was just a moment of like, you know what?
I've never gone through and been like, all right, here are pictures. Like, this is what I'm gonna, like, I started a Patreon, and that's more just like, it's Maui pictures. I send out postcards and letters, and like, it's a friendship. Only friends, like, But so I did that because like that's something that I'm comfortable with. Like, yeah, I'll share
Mm-hmm.
pictures of Maui and send postcards and write letters because I love to write letters. So like I can do that. But
Mm-hmm.
the other side of it is also wanting to go into acting. Like there's a
Ah,
million ways that could impact me later, and
100%.
absolutely just kind of fuck up anything that I want to do.
Exactly.
So, and then also like I don't feel comfortable putting myself out there like that. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just don't like this is for me and
Mm-hmm.
select few. So,
Okay.
you know.
I don't. This person, I've never heard "select few" as a usage of a phrase for that one, but original here. We have one more. All right, just one more, and this one actually has no sound. Fun fact. So
Oh.
we could talk
Oh,
over this
yep.
all you want, guys.
Yep.
This happened a year ago. All right, this a
Oh
year
my
ago to
God.
almost to this day, and let's just take a look at Aya's masterpiece here. All right. I'll play it twice just in case you guys don't know. So again, no audio's being played. Great. Look at that. Look at that house. Bam. What in
It
the
looks so
world?
good.
What is your deal? I will just keep playing that here. What is your problem? I look at that. Was this? You're telling me this is genuinely you? This is just.
I did. So you see me pull the plate back up because I'm trying to pull the house back onto the table, but the house had already started to fall. So in that process, I made it worse. I should have tried to catch it underneath.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
instead, I pulled the plate right out from under it.
But look, this
So
is what gets me. Your left hand. All right. Look at your left hand. It is pushing it as far off the table as it could have been.
I genuinely don't know. It was I think I misjudged the side of the size of that side of the table. I
Yeah.
have no explanation besides general incompetence because like there's no excuse for me having lost that house.
Not at all. And it was a
Um,
beautiful house.
Yeah, I literally started crying afterwards. It was just one of those days that I just like I have like screenshots where later because I had to
Yeah.
clean all the icing off the floor. I'm just
Yeah.
lying on the floor.
I-
Yeah, it
I
was
w-
it was a sad day.
I was gonna ask you. So, did you even try to like it hit the floor? Did you try to rebuild it? Did you try
I
to?
tried to salvage it.
And how'd that go?
It didn't. I kind of just fully gave up. I drew like a sad face on one part, and on the other part I wrote like AyaY.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, what are
so-
you gonna do with all these gumdrops and lollipops and all that jazz right there?
I saved them because I got another kit later. And so
Okay.
yeah.
Was that a success?
Yes,
Okay,
that one
good.
was more of a success.
You hear
I
that,
was
guys?
very
There's a
careful
happy
with it.
ending. There's a happy ending with that. All right.
Ultimately.
Yeah, that is brutal. I watched that over and I was like, this can't be real. How is she pushing the limits of that gingerbread
Yeah, just
home?
that level of general stupidity.
No,
So-
no. It was a classic. But did you? Hey, one last question on before we move on. Did you at least eat it, even though it hit the floor?
No, I did not.
Okay,
Actually,
this is a farce.
weird fun fact. My mom kept that, like, because I tried to reassemble it, right?
Yeah.
And, like, other family members had made some gingerbread houses at Christmas.
Mhm.
I was home in July for a hot second. All of those houses still exist. She hasn't thrown them out yet.
Gingerbread
I'm
houses.
not, yeah, I'm not sure why.
That's
I
not-
love my mom. I love
I mean,
my
it's
mom,
not
but
like
she
it's
hasn't-
gonna stale. I mean, it's not gonna get like moldy. It'll just be really hard, right? I
Yeah.
think
Maybe bugs, maybe ants.
That's
my only
true.
thought.
that's
Just
true
all the
too.
sugar all over.
She's just proud of you. She just like she wants to gas up your
Look
work.
at this mess that my daughter made and tried to fix but didn't.
This
Look
would
at my
be worth
daughter's
millions.
mediocrity.
Oh, right. I swear, you remind me. Do you know that MTV television cartoon show from back in the day? Do you know what I'm gonna say? Daria.
I get it a lot.
Oh my god. Oh my. Really? Dead ass. Like, cause it's not even just the aesthetic, the look. It's the humor. That's what you're hitting me with. You're giving me Daria vibe. More upbeat. I'll give you that. I'll give you more
Yeah,
upbeat vibes.
A little bit more.
She really she changed my future. When I watched her back in the day, her and As Told by Ginger were two of the vibey shows that really taught me a lot about life. But it is the vibe that I get right now. Let me ask you this though. All right, we got over that's the humanizing stuff. That's the icebreakers. All right, that's the stuff to just get people comfortable with what's going on here. Let me ask you a couple introspective questions about your time here on Twitch. All right, the first one being, what have you learned about yourself through streaming?
I think I learned kind of that I can interact with people better than I thought I could. Like I thought I had zero capacity to be social and make friends and talk to people like at all.
Yeah.
So I learned that I can do that. I learned that I also I started my brand off as I'm gonna die alone. Have no friends. I like just because it's partially jokes, but like that's kind of always how I felt.
Okay.
So it's always a fun time, super fun, uplifting time on my channel. But I've started to learn, I guess, that I can make friends and that I have friends now through Twitch and through streaming. Like I'm probably closer with a lot of my streaming friends than I've ever been with a lot of people that I've seen every day at school and stuff. I also learned that I might be able to do comedy, which I never thought was a thing for me.
Yeah.
Acting wise, I always just assumed, oh yeah, I'm just dark and brooding and I'm gonna do so much drama and we're gonna cry every day and like that's gonna be my life. But I realized that like I've developed improv skills from being on stream because you have to respond in the moment, you have to be ready. Like sometimes my brain shuts down, but sometimes I have a generally good comeback. So like that's pretty cool. But I learned that, and that's been something that's been really cool and kind of just empowering for me as a person because it's just kind of expanding boundaries a little bit and realizing different areas of comfort and things that I wouldn't have otherwise explored. So that's been pretty cool.
That fascinates me, Aya. That specifically, you're colliding in the world of comedy. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What was the moment, or what are moments in your time streaming that you're like, oh, holy shit, maybe I can be, or show a little bit more range instead of just going into that dramatic life, but into the world of comedy?
Yeah, I don't know if there was a specific moment, but there would just be moments where like I would say something and I was like, that was kind of good. Like I didn't know that I could do that.
Yeah.
Or like something would happen and just like the response that like it was just an automatic response kind of thing. Like I didn't have to think about it. Because when my issue is whenever I would get a comedy script, I'd feel so like, oh, I have to do this and it's, like it has to be funny.
Yeah.
And so it took me out of thinking that I had to be funny and just kind of like figuring out what my version of it is. Like my sense of humor, my like the way that I would go about it. And that's not to say that it's foolproof every time. I make way too many puns. That may be my downfall, but
yeah, that's what's gonna cancel you.
Absolutely. I'll make a pun and people will be like, "No, get it.
It's out. You're not the flavor of the month. It's not. You're done." Yeah.
So I think it's just been kind of developing it over time, and because most of my favorite shows are like the ensemble comedies, like Community and Parks and Rec and stuff like that. So kind of realizing like, okay, I could do something more like that. I just have to, I don't know, not think about it as much and just kind of do it. And I think I've learned to feel more comfortable resting in that I can. Like I know that I can.
Yeah.
So then it's also a confidence thing.
Definitely. How would you describe your streaming style?
I want to say, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
Because half the time, sometimes I have a plan. But since we do a lot of just chatting, it's kind of like I hop in and I see where the conversation goes, like what people are feeling like about talking about, whatever kind of pops up. I kind of just go with the flow. Typically, sometimes we'll do games and that can be a lot of fun too. But it just kind of, a lot of time, Cowboy said chaotic neutral and I agree with that. We kind of just do what happens as it happens. Again, sometimes I'll do like a Halloween subathon, or like this Thursday where the stream that I'm doing is literally just to celebrate Cowboy. So we have like, he's like the best mod and he won't tell us when his birthday is, so we're just putting it all into one.
Yeah.
It's really just a lot of that. Like normally I kind of hop online with some sort of like pessimistic, self-deprecating title, and then we just kind of start and we talk. And so it just kind of, it depends on the day. You know, sometimes we'll get into really deep topics. We'll talk about anxiety, depression, that kind of stuff. And because that's something that I don't want to shy away from, because,
100%.
I deal with it and I want to be real with everyone. But then sometimes it's like really weird, goofy, I don't even know. Someone brought up a poop knife once, and we talked about a poop knife because I didn't know what that was. So it really spans every end of the spectrum. We're goofy together and silly together, but we also we'll have real conversations and get into stuff like that as well.
Out of curiosity, what is a poop knife? What is that?
Apparently, a poop knife is something that you use after you've pooped, you cut up your poop in the toilet so it doesn't clog it.
Oh, wait, this is just a. Do people have this at their home? Like regular, like
I'd never heard of it before.
I cannot say I have either. I have never heard of this.
That was a learning experience. You felt very informed that day.
Wow, I'm humbled. Yeah, that was Cindy said, "Fuck these guys." That's wild. Though I like that. I like how you're saying so chaotic neutral. And as a former D&D player myself, I resonate with that answer a little bit more. When you go hit the live button, more often than not, are you telling me you improv things? Are you telling me it's more of spur of the moment, we'll figure it out as we go?
Typically, yeah. Sometimes we'll go in with a general, like, okay, today we're playing this game, or, today we're gonna, I don't know. Like, sometimes it's usually the only kind of plan that I typically go into it with is if it's a special occasion, so like streamiversary, subathon, or like a predetermined day of something. Like a makeup or something like that, or if it's a game that we've been talking about playing, which people love the scary games. I do not. But yeah, typically I just kind of jump into it and I'm like, all right, like we'll see where it goes, and just kind of we'll talk about our days, just hearing from everyone, checking in on everyone.
That's nice. That's nice. That's like, see, again, I'm not like trying to understand the world of like, all right, would you say you'd classify yourself as variety streamer, right? In that regard, and that always stresses me out. Like I've talked to a lot of variety streamers, and maybe that's again depending on the streamer and the person. For me, it's like, holy cow, how do you guys just go with the flow? How are you guys figuring out what to do? So it sounds like it's a lot of it is community oriented. With yourself just being like, all right, yeah, we could do this. I could do this. I'm mentally prepared for whatever poop knife discussion will be had this evening. I like that. Let's go. Let's focus the attention about your community, or I'm sorry, about you in regards to your community. If I asked your community who you are, what do you think they would say to me?
It depends on who you ask. I feel like a fair amount of them would say nice things to make me get awkward. I don't know. I think awkward would probably be one of them. I don't know. I don't. Just because I know some people would say nice things, like.
Yeah, what are the nice things you think they'd say?
I don't know, because then, okay, me saying them makes it sound like I'm just this really cool person.
Please.
Like, no, like, it feels so braggy, and I hate it.
It's the vanity of the show.
Oh my god, I don't know. She's cool sometimes, I guess.
Okay, she's cool sometimes again. Let me read you 3, all right? It goes, she's beautiful and validating and a good friend. She's my dad. She's indecisive. She's a fucking fantastic queen. All right. I can see you. Why are you? It's brutal watching you, and I wanted to do that on purpose. It's brutal watching you squirm to the nice things. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either. It makes me feel so like awkward immediately.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna hate the last part of the show then. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh no.
You're gonna hate the last part of the show. When I gotta read all the nice stuff. Anywho.
Oh no.
Let's flip the question though, Aya. Let's flip the question on them. All right. How would you describe your community to me? If I just walked in and was like, "Yo, Aya, tell me about the characters that are here in your chat, that are here, that are fucking with your content," what would you say to me about that?
I feel like how it feels to me sometimes is like we're all kind of like, this is gonna sound so pretentious and whatever, but like just a bunch of like lost souls who kind of found a community with each other. Like, I feel like the vibe that I've gotten from a lot of people is a lot of us never necessarily feel like we belong to something, and we kind of find a place to belong together. It's also big chaotic, like, you never really know what's gonna happen. Like, there are some outlying people who pop in and just the one person in particular, his name's Tyrese, he'll send a lot of just crazy, strange videos to people. But yeah, no, I feel like it's kind of a place where a lot of people who feel like a misfit in some shape or form kind of come together. Because I know I feel that way, and so the fact that I have a group of people to hang out with, like, I don't like to say like stream fans because that feels gross to me, especially because of the kind of community that I have. Like,
Agree.
It's a friendship. It's a community that we build together, and I feel like it's like, I don't know, like the whole like chosen family kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because we grow close to each other. Like I say, I'm pretty real with everyone. We've got like a mental health channel on my Discord too, so people can post if they want to just talk something out. But
yeah,
I just always try to be upfront about what's going on, and so we get to know each other in like a deeper way, not just surface level, like, hi, I'm a streamer and I'm gonna talk at you, but it's like we're talking with each other.
Do you have any issues with being very candid on camera in terms of sharing things that are affecting your personal life, or crying, or just showing vulnerability to any extent?
No, I've cried a couple times on stream now, and once it was because of the gingerbread house, so that was just kind of dumb. But
Yeah.
like, I remember when I found out about the pandemic hitting and having the end of my senior year just taken from me, and my best friend and roommate who we lived with, I didn't get the entire like last bit of college with her because she went home. And I deleted the stream because I did feel a little bit embarrassed about it, like retroactively. Like, I got retroactively self-conscious about it. But like, I remember that one distinctly. I couldn't, and I just kind of lost it. And it was one of those that I was like, I'm just gonna be real with everyone, and like that's kind of what I do. If I'm dealing with stuff, I want to let them know. So I don't really have many issues being honest. That's kind of one of my things. Like, I want to be real with everyone, and it's not for me, it's not about just me performing in front of people. It's about like, I want to get to know them, and I want them to get to know me. It's about knowing each other as people. Yeah.
And I think the things that we are able to say as streamers and all that, there are a lot of streamer talking points. You'll hear community a lot. You'll hear, who I am off camera is who I am off camera. But one of the best things is, and what I kind of take solace in the fact, is that the people that are watching, they're not stupid. They know when something's phony and when something's authentic and real. And so I think that's a testament to yourself, Aya, that you are able to go on cam and do that, and also have a place off stream to share your soul and your story. Because you're right. I the more I'm here on Twitch, the more I'm understanding what you're saying, in the sense of, it's a lot of lost souls. It's a lot of like misfits. It's a lot of people that, it's still a new platform, and to some degree, especially those that are going through the just chatting category, are looking for interaction. They're looking for something to engage with. So that's really cool, that you're providing that to the most authentic level that you can, personally. So with that said, you killed it. That's the first segment. That's the whole thing. The streamer life. You've done it. All right. It's a cakewalk right now, but we're going into the meat and potatoes of why I do this show, the life story segment. But before that, this is a little social experiment I like to do every now and then. It's also my excuse at using the bathroom. I'm gonna leave you with everyone here. All right, Aya. So you can open up the chat if it isn't open already. Conversate for them for about a minute. I'll be right back, and I'll explain to you all why I do this. But I'll be right back.
Here, let me hold you. Okay. Uh-oh. I'm in charge now. Hello. I'm watching you all. I've been watching the whole time. Boone, it's not my birthday. Hey, nerd. Oh my god. Chris, I'm your biggest fan. What a coincidence that I'd find you here. Maui stream. Engaged. Yeah. That's what this is. That's what this is. It's really just Maui stream now. Ready? Oh no! She fell on me. It's okay. I was her cushion. She stole my chair though. Hi, Peyton. How are you? She stole my chair immediately. Yeah. It's okay. I just have to clean my glasses now because they're covered in cat hair. And my camera won't focus. It wants to focus on the neon sign, which, like, I get. It's dope. So happy this. I am too. I'm super stoked. I've been looking forward to this since I knew it was gonna happen. So now she's in my chair, so I guess I'm sharing my chair for the rest of stream. It's fine. We took over the stream. Now I use chair steel. It's super fun. Yeah. What's your fun fact, Chris? Also, thank you everyone who came to hang out. I appreciate it. Did you know that Maui is your cat? I did not know that. I'm surprised. I'm shook.
Okay. All right. So one of the reasons I do this, A, of course, to use the bathroom, but B, it's a little social experiment in the sense of like, as a streamer, you have all the controls. You have your OBS, you literally can end stream and it would be done. But I find it fascinating to always leave the guests alone and just have to swim and figure it out. Because it's a combination of your community that came by to support you, gas you up, and another random group of people that are watching this that I love so much. All right, I love you so much. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. But every now and then you'll see that. As well as if you need to go to the restroom or get a drink or anything, just stop me whatever place I'm at and go help yourself. Like there's no formality or not too much formality in that. But we've gone to this segment of life stories. And this is where we lean into who you are beyond Twitch, before you even got here, while you're on here and everything's off, and where your heart is going towards the future. So with that being said, let's start from the very top, and it's regarding your family and upbringing. Without doxing yourself, Aya, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Newport Beach, California area,
Nice.
but I was raised in Dallas, Texas.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, a little bit of a leap. I was pretty young when we lived in California, so I don't really remember it. But I was raised in Dallas, Texas.
Awesome. So with your family or the family dynamics, how many siblings have you had, if you have any?
So I have one older brother and a younger sister. So I'm the middle child.
Whoa, okay. Not too many middle children here on the show. I've a vast majority are the youngest, which makes a lot of sense because we crave attention.
I was going to say the middle children do as well.
Really? Can you tell me more about middle children? I have no idea about that.
It's the whole thing where, like, as an oldest child, you get all the freedom. You also are kind of like the guinea pig child.
True.
So you kind of go through all those tests. And then, at least for me, the youngest child is the one that was babied and adored and cherished. And I just kind of was like, I had all the responsibility of being older than the youngest child, but none of the freedom of being the oldest. So I just kind of was there, like, I'm on stage, pay attention to me, which is why I do acting now. So.
Tell me about your relationship with your siblings. How old is what's the age difference between the oldest, youngest, and yourself?
About 2.5 years between each.
Whoa.
My parents kind of spaced it out.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So my brother's, I think, 25 now. Yeah, he's about 25 now, and my sister is 20.
Wow. Awesome. Are you close with both of them?
Yeah, I'm pretty close with both of them. Like, we've kind of had ups and downs. I wasn't really close with my brother. Like, when we were younger, we were really close. And then when he was middle school, high school, he went through some stuff and he was being angsty too. So I didn't really talk to him very much. And then I was in high school and he was in college. But we had 1 year of overlap where I was a freshman and he was a senior in college. And we went to the same school. And he was so amazing because I was so terrified about everything. And he was such a great older brother. Like, he, would help me out. He would just kind of like be there. He'd hang out with me and just be like, oh, come hang out with my friends and I.
Oh, man.
I'd go hang out. So I talk to him more so now. And we definitely have gotten closer. And then my sister, we were really close in middle school and then towards the end of high school. When we were both in high school for a little bit, there was a little bit of a weird kind of thing because she was like a cool kid and I wasn't. So it's kind of like a
Whoa,
weird,
how
yeah.
did that work out? The older one not being the cool kid? I've never heard of this one
She
before.
was like a cheerleader. It was her friend. Her friend group was like the group that hung out with like the older kids that were cool, and like I kind of just did my own thing. She was a cheerleader. I was on like the dance team, which at like drill team, dance team, which is
Yeah.
not cool at all at my school.
Really? Huh.
Not no. We were also, it was a small private school, so like it was just whoever could be on it. So most people didn't have any actual dance experience. It was it
Yeah,
was
yeah. I
I was
got
the only
you.
one who had ever danced really. Like I used to dance when I was younger for a long time, and
Uh-huh.
so it was it was cringy, but like the girls were nice and we had like a good time.
Mhm.
And then my friend group, we were kind of like a we weren't like nerds, but we weren't like cool. We just kind of were there, you
Yeah.
know, and existed. So she was cool, I wasn't really. So we kind of had a weird,
Was there ever a moment where she kind of big dogged you in high school
no,
being
she
in that?
claims she wasn't. She's like, I'm not popular. What are you talking about? But like her friend group was
Yeah.
like that group.
Yeah.
So she just like she didn't want the label of it, but she was a part of it.
Mhm.
But also, with that being said, she went through a lot of shit because of it, because there was a bunch of like unnecessary drama and whatnot. But
Damn. In the household, Aya, you know, I don't like to use this definitive statement, but let's try to work around it. In the household, in your family household, what was kind of your role? What did you play into the family dynamic? Who was Aya there?
kind of a peacekeeper for one. I'm always the person that's like, guys, stop fighting. I don't like conflict. Like I hate conflict so much. So whenever people would fight, it makes me anxious. Like I just don't. Even if it's like, you know, my mom and dad say like couples argue, it's normal. But I'm
Yeah.
always like, no, like stop fighting. Like, so that was kind of one of them. It just, it definitely just kind of depends on the situation. And when I got to a certain age, I kind of kept to myself. Like there was a whole like my family as a whole, we've been through just kind of like a lot. So there was a period of time that I just kind of like hid out in my room and like I just did my own thing and I just kind of kept to myself, spent time with my cat, did homework, did, you know, like I just kind of did my own thing. At a certain point, I think all of us kind of did our own thing, but that was a whole other situation, family wise.
Sure. And you know, let me pay a little bit more attention with the mom and dad. Like, tell me about your parents. Tell me about your relationship with them.
Yeah. My mom is just as people usually ask, but my mom's Japanese, my dad's white, so I'm half and half, like an even split down the middle. Usually, because people are like, "What are you?" and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And it's a whole thing. So my mom's like a cute little 5 foot tall Japanese woman. She's teeny. And my dad's like 6'1", so just like the height difference is hilarious. One of my dad's favorite things, he's like, when she gets really mad and worked up, I just kind of hug her real tight, and then she can't really do much. And
That's hilarious.
I was like, it's
so
kind
good.
of cute.
That's so good. Yeah.
But yeah, so my mom, she works in business. She's an absolute badass. Like she was honored at like a banquet for like top 30 women in business.
Oh yeah.
One year. And she's worked her ass off. Like she was born to her parents. My grandma was from Japan. My grandpa grew up in Hawaii, but she was raised out there. You know, very, very humble beginnings. So my mom like worked so hard through college and through everything to get to where she is. And she's a big source of inspiration for me because she has absolutely, you know, earned her place in business and really, really solidified herself there. And so I have a lot of respect for her. My dad, he is super goofy, big family in Wisconsin, absolute goofball. Yeah, they're both, like, I love both my parents, like, and I've kind of like alluded to that, like, I've had some issues. So my mom used to work at a job that was international travel. So she'd be gone for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And it was, I think I was in middle school at the time. That was probably one of like the hardest times for the family as a whole because my mom was gone so much.
Yeah.
And my brother was going through a lot of like depression and dealing with bullying. And I think my mom missed my sister's birthday 2 years in a row. But it was also because my mom's boss didn't care about that. Like, he sent his like kids off to boarding school. So when she would be like, hey, but like it's my kid's birthday, and like he wouldn't care. And so that was kind of hard because then also my dad had a hard time with her being gone, you know, because like imagine like your significant other is just gone 2 weeks out of the month, almost every month, you know, like you barely get to see them. And so that was definitely a hard time for the family. At that point, my mom and I had just a terrible relationship, just a really, really bad relationship for a while. And then in high school, I started dealing with like a lot of like bullying and girls being mean. And so then I started having like a lot of anxiety, depression, and my mom didn't handle it very well. Like her way of dealing with it with me was saying that I was hurting the family, which, you know, when you're already dealing with like a lot of bad feelings, not great, not great to hear. But we actually went to family therapy. My brother wasn't there because he was in college. It ended up being one of the best things for us because we were able to work through a lot of stuff, but there were some bad moments because you have to bring up a lot of the bad stuff in order to get past it. So there were certain days where no one would talk afterwards. It was the worst, most tense feeling, and the house was super tense. But it ended up being really good because now we're a lot closer generally overall than we were. So we're in a better place now. I mean, I haven't really talked to my family as much lately just because quarantine and COVID and everything. But yeah.
Was it a
So
strict?
it's pretty good.
Was it a strict household growing up? I mean, you mentioned way back, even before we started the show, you had poked the joke at like, I'm not used to the kind words. I'm not used to the affirmation that you have to either get really good at something and you know then you'll be affirmed.
Yes and no. So I definitely was I joke about like, oh, I'm an actor because I want attention because I was denied it as a child. Like my parents loved my brother, sister, and I, like, and there's no doubt about it. Like they're, you know, very, very kind. And my mom was more so this way because her mom was that way, and I've seen it more as I got older. But it's very much so you get A's, you do really well, you excel at what you do, you work really hard. And so I've internalized that. And so everything that I do, it's like, if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. Like I would get like a high A on a test, or no, if I got like a high A, if I got a high A, it should be like, all right, next time go for 100. Like it wasn't like it was good. It felt like it was never quite good enough. And I felt like I had to be someone that my mom could brag about. Like that's how I felt. Oh my God. You know, like, and I don't even know how it happened, but I think it's I have a lot more empathy and sympathy for my mom as I've gotten older as I see how her mom was infinitely harder. My grandma was an absolutely amazing, super kind woman, but the same kind of culture of like, I remember one day I was at her house putting on makeup and she's like, oh, you should teach your mom how to do that so she can look pretty.
Jesus.
Or would see a picture of my mom and just tell my mom that she looks fat. Like, just like, she just didn't sugarcoat it at all.
Yeah, that's brutal.
So through that, I've come to understand where my mom's coming from, and it's because she cares. And like, obviously there's a balance, but it's because I know that she cares about me and wants me to have as best a future as I possibly can.
Yeah.
That being said, it was definitely a lot of pressure because it was always like, all right, you're planning for the next thing. So at the end of, you know, when I started middle school, I'm preparing for high school. In high school, I'm preparing for college. Like I always have to be thinking next step ahead. I've got to do a million extracurriculars. I've got to do all of this and balance it really well. And, you know, always like the way that I would preface how, like, I guess how I felt about impressing my mom is like when I was a kid, I would brush my teeth. Like I'd work really hard to brush my teeth and then always show my mom so that she would tell me that I did a good job. Like I needed that external affirmation, which is maybe why I hate it now, or because I feel uncomfortable now, because it was something that I always like craved as a kid. And so like there's especially when I feel like I haven't done anything, I feel like I didn't do anything to deserve it. So it's not like valid. I don't know. I'm very overly introspective. So.
No, I think that's spot on. I think a lot of what you said I've actually really resonated with. I myself am Filipino. I'm full Filipino. And so, you know, when you're telling me about the household of like, it's not that they're going to lambast you if you don't get, well, they will if you don't get A's, but they will hit you with the, like, you get an A minus or a B plus, heaven forbid. And you're gonna be like, well, now next time you go for A, like you should be doing this. Why aren't you doing this? And I think that's the way you approach it and the way I approach it are very two different approaches. You took it as a challenge, and you took it and you've applied yourself. For me, it ruined me. It deteriorated my relationship. It's created, I would say, insecurities as well as just misplaced. I don't want to say hate, but misplaced negative feelings and thoughts towards my parents. And again, as we grow older, we realize, oh, okay, I totally misinterpreted this. At the same time, it's hard to fix old wounds so quickly, even with the new understanding and that model. Let me ask you this. You mentioned it being cultural, and I agree with you. You know, my grandma was tough on my mom, and it made her who she is today, the great woman that she is. With that being said, is it, I know that we want to be proud of our culture, especially here in the States, especially in the United States where everything's going fucking wild. I'm still very proud of my culture. I can poke fun at it, but I'm still very proud. But at what point will we have to say to ourselves that, that phrase that you used, Aya, where it's like, oh, that's just the way it was back then, or that's the way my mom was taught when she was younger, back at wherever she was at. When are we going to tell ourselves, you know what? Well, we're here in the States, and this generation, this time is different. Do those same things apply? Some of them do, but do those things that especially hurt us or have made us, struggle as when we were younger, do those same traditions apply to where we are now?
Yeah, I think it's about taking the parts of it that help you and utilizing them moving forward, because I think that culture evolves over time regardless of anything. And I think one of the things that to me has always been so important, because I am biracial, so I grew up in kind of a mix of two different cultures, which is a whole other beast of like, I never feel Asian enough, but I'll also never be white. So I just kind of fall in that weird mix. It's a weird kind of place to fall, but I always feel like, you balance and you adapt and you kind of figure out what works for you individually. And like, you can honor, like, I'll always honor, like, there are traditions that I can honor, like, and recipes and foods and things that I can honor from that side of things. But then also taking, my dad's always been a lot more of a lighthearted, funny guy, like he wasn't quite as hard. My mom was the one who was very hard on us about that kind of stuff. And my dad cared too. He was just a little bit goofier. That being said, like, both of them kind of would sometimes go to the extreme on either side. And so I think me growing up into being an adult, I would kind of take the parts from both of them that I felt were helpful to me and kind of moving forward with that. So I think that, yeah, there's definitely a place to discipline. And if I'm not really too keen on, I'm 23, so it doesn't matter, but like not too keen on the idea of having a kid. It doesn't seem like something I want to do, because it seems terrifying and like a lot of responsibility. In general.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of terrified that my kid would end up to be a sociopath, serial killer or something, or I'd mess up just monumentally.
Yeah.
I've listened to too many podcasts and documentaries about serial killers, so yeah. But it's like, if in a theoretical world that I did, I would work really hard to balance, because the way that I've heard my parents talk about it is they kind of have tried to take the best things that they could from their parents. And of course, no one's perfect. So there's going to be things that kind of either from conditioning, what you're used to, how you were raised, will kind of come through, or your traits that are maybe not as good will come through.
Completely.
But all you can do is try to channel the best from the people or from yourself. And for me, like, yeah, I think the drive and determination, like my mom instilled in me a passion, to like to make sure that I'm putting in the work and do the best that I can, because, it's one of those, talent will only get you so far. You do have to put in work. That is part of it. But then also not instilling that that's the only thing that matters. Making sure that there's a space for interpersonal relationships, and like in a world in which I were to have a kid, I'd want them to feel comfortable talking to me about their emotions, about, my mom was raised in a household that was very cold. You don't talk about your feelings, really. That's not really a part of the relationship with your parents. And like, that's something that I'd want. That's something that I think is important, that is important for someone's growth and as they get older. And like my dad, like, yeah, I'd love to take, you don't take things too seriously. You joke around, you have fun. But then there are certain other things that, like, I don't know, sometimes he pokes too much fun at my sister and my mom, and it's frustrating for them to, like, feel like they're being not necessarily made fun of, but, like, you know, at the expense of every joke.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you take those things and you try to funnel out what you've seen doesn't work or what you know you disagree with. And so I think that's kind of how, I mean, that's how I approach it. Like, I'm very big on balance, I guess. Like, that's kind of always how I've been. I'm very middle ground. Ironic, I'm a middle child, but like biracial, bipartisan, and just straight up bi. So like I just kind of fall in the middle of everything. So like balance is essential to life, and so you can't have too much one way or too much the other way. And I don't know. That's kind of my life philosophy. Is like, of course, there are some things that you just don't like. You're not gonna have like a give and take with, like, I'm not gonna have a give and take with racism. I'm not gonna be like, it's okay in this situation. Like, no, it's not okay.
Yeah.
You know? But for the most part in life, you have to have, and the same goes with like discussion. If you're having a discussion with someone you disagree with, you have to go in with the mindset that you might be, like, you have to be receptive to what they're saying. You can't just wait for your next opportunity to tell them that they're wrong. So
Totally. It's interesting.
That was a full tangent.
I love that. There's so much. Okay, I'm realizing I'm seeing a lot of the old soul in you right now, just through that one whatever dialogue you just had there. But there's a couple things that really I truly do love. I love the fact that you said discussion. All right, but the thing is, majority of people, especially online, on Twitter, on whatever, it's a debate. It is two parties that are fighting tooth and nail and just getting more entrenched in what they already believe and hating more of the opposition. In terms of your cultural background, and specifically with your mom saying that she doesn't share anything about, you know, back when she was, you know, with her family, she's not sharing anything in the household with her mom or any of that. It's amazing. Like, it's very, I did not realize how rough mental health discussions were in Asian culture in general. I mean, there are people, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say some of the stuff that have occurred, but it is insane how much people will shut their mouths and reach a limit, a point of no return, and never return again because of it. Whether that be a pride or not being taught to share that. And that's one of the reasons why it's like, yeah, okay, you know, there's a shit ton of crazy things that are happening here in the States. But I am glad that this discussion is being, you know, a little bit more, has a little bit more of a spotlight. I actually, random question. This doesn't have too much to do with the segment of family. But actually it might. Would you ever consider, like, adopting a kid instead of having your own?
Potentially. For me, the idea is I feel inadequate to raise a human. Like, the idea, it's the responsibility to raise some. I don't trust myself not to fuck it up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just so afraid that, like, I think part of it stems from, like, I dealt with a lot of depression in high school and continuing through college, and I don't want to have, like, a human that I'm responsible for go through that and know that there might be not a ton that I can do to stop it, or the idea of feeling so helpless. Like, my mom has said this to me and I never really understood it. But like when we're going through something, her kids are going through something like that's painful, like friendship issues or a breakup or whatever. She's like, I just wish that I could take this pain away from you. But she knows that you have to go through it. That's part of life. Mm-hmm. I'm a big empath. Like, I feel things for other people. And so to have someone who either I adopted as my own or like I had as my own, to feel all of those things that they're feeling would be so, I mean, obviously there are good things about having a child and like a lot of really cool things about it, but I would also I'm an anxious person for myself. I would bubble wrap any kid that I was responsible for, because I would be so afraid that something would happen to them. Like, yeah. Like my mom would always say, like, having a parent having a kid die before they do is like one of the worst things that you could happen.
100%.
Like, could happen. And I understand that in theory, but like the more that I think about it, like it's like something that you're responsible for, like that would, I don't think I would ever be able to recover from that. And so it's mostly for me a fear of not being able to do it right, of doing something so wrong that I lose them, or, you know, they grow to hate me. I think it's all of my general feelings of inadequacy to provide a good care, a good upbringing. Mm-hmm. It's my my fear that I'd just be a terrible mom,
Mhm.
I guess.
Fair. No, and that's totally. This is much more of a responsible discussion than I've heard most when they're saying, "Yeah, I got baby fever. Let's do this. Let's full send this," and they don't realize, oh shit, there's a lot about being parents. And right as we get on the topic of parents here, oh, it's Parker. Oh, it's Parker with the $26 million raid over here. Parker, how you doing? Hello, Gramps. You see this shit? This is what I mean about making a boomer coalition. All right, I can't have. Look at it. Look at these. They just get their rocks off. This is all the youngins. Oh, welcome. I thought this was a stream, not a daycare. What the fuck, Parker? Why you? See? Oh. See, by the way, the whole reason I'm wearing this outfit, I usually am not this fresh. I saw Otis Parker wearing a jean jacket and a black hoodie. I said, I could rock it better, all right? Look at this. I'm even wearing a Travis Scott hoodie for these kids. I knew I could feel it. I could feel the tension here. Thank you so much for joining us here. Thanks so much for the follow, Dark Jumper. But allow me to bring things back into perspective, guys. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Streamer Studio. I am your host, Moms Online, and today we are talking to the lovely AyaYoshi here. Thank you so much for the raid, Parker. I appreciate you. I'll call you in a bit. All right, I'll call you after this. Anywho, but we were just getting on the topic or wrapping up the topic of family. So we're still at the top of the life story segment. So there's still a lot to be had here. We kind of diverged from talking about your family to starting like a family and having your own family and this and that. And the fear of that. I agree with you. I think that's what I meant by this is the most responsible discussion, because I think more often than not that we fall into this trap of like, all right, what am I supposed to do when I'm mid-20s or whatever? All right, I should probably get married. I should probably have a kid. Probably buy a house. I should have a job by then that I love, that I should be making my world's income. But that just isn't the case. It's. I think we were told this story that we were never taught about the journey of it, or to think very introspectively, as you've just eloquently did for 5 minutes, just laying down the hammer about loved ones and starting your own family and all that. And I love that a ton. But let's transition a little bit. All right, we talked a little bit about family. Let's transition about who you were in high school and college. All right. So back in high school, the stereotypes. Where did you fall under?
I guess in technicality, it would be like a theater kid. My school, it was so small that everyone did a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So you couldn't fully just sit in one stereotype, but there were definitely like the cool kids and whatever. But theater was kind of my safe place, I guess. That's where I kind of had the most fun.
Mm-hmm.
So in technicality, I guess a theater kid, but I, like I said, I did dance team. I did track one year because they just wanted me to do high jump because I could hurdle my body through space and time since I used to dance. I did that for a year, but I hated running, so I stopped it afterwards. Yeah, I mean, that was probably most of it for me. They had like a glee club at one point I did for a little bit, like a culture club they did. Like I tried to join a bunch of extracurriculars and stuff.
You were about it then. You were really part of you had your finger on the pulse of co-curricular activities at the school.
Yeah, that was part of the trying to do as much as I could for a good application
resume.
For college,
oh my
yeah.
god. Were you ASB?
Planning.
Were you an ASB at all? Student council?
Oh, I did try to do that, but student council ended up being a popularity contest.
Of course. Yeah.
And I was not.
So we'll leave it to your sister. You're right. We gotta leave it to your sister. So okay, you did a lot of the co-curriculars there. What are some productions that people would know? I'm talking more of the titles, or were you part of any musicals in high school? How many productions in total as well?
So I did every production through high school that I could have done. They started with Legally Blonde. And I was a freshman then, so like I was like one of the only freshmen that got a role with like a name. It was literally had like one little line, and then it was a little bit slightly more special. But that's just because I did drama all through middle school too, so they like knew that I would put in the work. But the character her name was Leilani, and they're like, it's because you're Hawaiian, but I'm not Hawaiian. Everyone said I was Hawaiian.
Yeah.
My mom grew up in Hawaii. I am not Hawaiian. And then sophomore year, we did High School Musical.
Whoa, which one?
Yeah.
1, 2, or 3?
The first one. Yeah. So I was Gabriella, but they double cast all the female roles because we had way more women than men. So there was a senior who was also Gabriella, and she gave me so much shit, even though I busted my ass all the time. Like I put in a lot of work because that was my thing.
Yeah.
But I just got shit, and then the shit from all the seniors who didn't get cast in the main role. So.
Wait a second. So you were the main role. She was your understudy.
Well, no, we were double cast. So what they would do is like half the shows is one cast, half the shows is the other, which is also a pain in the ass to reverse.
That would be so confusing. How in the middle of the show would I know during the intermission?
Well, no, not during the show. So So let's say there are 8 shows total that happen. 4 of them is one cast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no, you don't
Holy
switch
cow. Yeah, I was going to say, Jesus.
Yeah.
Different days. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Wow. How did I not think of that in the first place? I don't know where my brain. She was acting like a real Sharpay, if you ask me. All right. That's ridiculous. That's that. I gotta ask you. One of the worst things about this whole DMCA thing is the fact that I could not pull up any of your singing clips with the fear that I might get, striked or whatever or muted. But you're an amazing singer. Let me ask this: of the High School Musical soundtrack for version 1, what was your go-to song? What was the song that you're like, fuck yeah, this is coming on. Let's get started here.
I mean, there are so many. I guess I'd have to say Breaking Free. It's like such a classic.
Yeah.
And it's such a fun one. So I think that one was probably my favorite. But I think of the shows that I did in high school, my all-time favorite was Addams Family senior year, because I got to be Morticia, and she just like as a character, like I just vibe with her so much. Like she has a song literally called Death is right around the corner. And she's just singing about how like everything's gonna be okay because we're all gonna die soon. And like,
why are you not in Seattle? I'm feeling that you would love the depressing atmosphere, the coffee, cigarettes. What?
I need to visit sometime the area because my brother's there. He went to grad school there, and now he's there doing work for Microsoft. So I need to go up there. Just live in the gray.
It's so nice. I have a friend. The guy who rated actually. He sends me these like Midwestern folk playlists, and I've been just listening to them as I'm driving around the rain, and it's just so
perfect.
It's beautiful. It's a whole vibe there. I love it so much. So you went through all these productions in high school. Did you play any sports? Did you do any? Did you take that route?
So I did. Like I said, there's the one year that I did track. I hated it. And then I did dance team, which is kind of athletic in that you have to be able to move around and do high kicks, which was like the one thing that I'd be like, I can kick myself in the face. But I did that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that was technically like my like athletic thing that I did. I don't think I really did any other athletics though. That wasn't really my area of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm clumsy, so
fair play. In regards, and of course I gotta ask the last nerdy question I have to ask. What was your subject? What was your subject of choice in high school?
English, I think.
Really?
I thrived in English. Like English class was my shit. Like I love words, and I love like finding the perfect word to describe a feeling or a situation. Like that's kind of one of my favorites. Or like I love quotes because I think words are so powerful, and it's the idea that like you can have a mantra kind of thing, and that can help you. Like in college, one of my favorite things was like the idea to be like curious, not critical. So like when you make a mistake, be curious about what went wrong and how to fix it instead of being critical and beating yourself up. Because like one makes progress and the other doesn't.
How the hell you don't have a blog or a vlog or a podcast, Aya, is beyond me.
I talk too much. People get tired real fast.
Just capture it and then clip it. Clip it into like bite-sized moments. This is gold. I don't know if people are like if they're soaking in right now the amount of dimes that are being thrown here. I'm taking notes. So, with your experience in high school, I gotta ask, what is when I ask you about high school originally, when I've asked you, all right, tell me who you are, tell me about high school, your experience there. What is one memory in the back of your mind that is like that has shaped, or is the definitive memory like, oh, this is high school for me? What is a memory for you? You could think back then that would be a definitive one that kind of underlines your career or your time back then.
I think I actually talked about this with my best friend yesterday. There was a period of time that I used to eat lunch in the computer lab and just do my homework, and I was by myself. And like that kind of that was high school for me, because at a certain point the girls in my friend group, just, it was like a cool thing for them to shit on me for whatever reason. I remember one of my guy friends being like, yeah, when you left, they all just started talking about what a drama queen you are. Da, da, da. I'm like, it was one of those, I taught myself to invalidate how I felt, because as we'd all be hanging out and people would be like, I hate this about myself, or I hate this, and I'd be like, oh, I hate this, and they'd be like, shut up, you can't say that, like, you this and this, and like, it's like they thought that I had whatever they thought they wanted, which that's also around the time that I was having a lot of issues with my family. I was having just a lot of like a lot of shit that was happening, and they just kind of all started to dislike me for whatever reason and exclude me, and generally make me feel pretty shitty about myself, and just, it was just like the little judgment. I was telling Maddie, my best friend that I was hanging out with, I found a clip from a talent show in high school where me and 3 of my friends sang together, and at one point I sang a part, and I didn't notice it until like a couple months ago, and I rewatched it. The 2 of them look at each other and smirk, like they have this look in the middle of like doing it.
Yeah.
I felt shitty for the rest of that day that I watched it, because I'd never noticed it before, but like that's kind of the shit that would happen. And so for me, like, the computer lab was kind of my safe space at lunch, because all the rest of my friends were hanging out, and it was like girl guy friend group. It wasn't like all girls or whatever, like, you know. But at a certain point I just felt so uncomfortable and self-conscious about being there with them that I just stopped eating with them, and that's kind of, like I said, I've been through a lot of depression and anxiety, but like that's when I first became really depressed as a person. And in high school it was really bad, and it was also because my parents didn't know how to deal with it, and so I went through a whole bunch of different things with it, and I don't know, the thing that stuck out to me about high school is no one noticed that I wasn't okay until I stopped wearing makeup to school. Like, that's the only time when people noticed that something was up, not when I had band-aids covering certain parts on my arms. Like, they didn't. Someone asked me what happened, and I said, oh, it was my cat. Okay. And people were happy to accept that, but it was when I just stopped wearing makeup, it was like, oh, must be wrong.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, so
that's definitely not reading the room. This actually makes a very surprisingly smooth transition to your friend group in high school. All right, I wanted to ask you about that specifically. Mental health as teens is such a delicate area, because while I 100% agree with giving them the support and voice and all of that, though, however much we can support and have that narrative of mental health be in the forefront, it's also tough because sometimes they are very young, and we are very young when we're in high school, and we're still trying to figure out what the hell are we really mad about? What the hell are we really going through? And who are we as people? So when you're going through that muck, before we get into your friend group, as you're going through that tough time in your life, how did you navigate that territory? What was your mechanism or your outlets to release all that, anxiety, depression, resentment?
Yeah, I think for me it was hard because at a certain point, because it was all the girls in my friend group kind of clumping up together, my instinct was to just pull back and hide, which is definitely what I did, with lunch and stuff. But then that's also when I realized that acting and performing is what I'm really passionate about. Like, I kind of knew it, but like I would go through an entire day of school and everything felt just gray and like empty. And then at the end of the day, my last class of the day was my theater class, and like that's when I felt just excited to be a part of something, and I felt things besides just sadness and anxiety, and like it gave me, like, it's when I felt like color, I guess, in the things around me, and it's what made me feel excited to do stuff. And that's what kind of drove me through it a little bit. It allowed me to find out what I was more passionate about, what really mattered to me, for myself, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But how, and correct my ignorance with this all, I feel like that vocation going into, and I don't want to get too far ahead of us because I do know there's a work segment there, but the vocation of being an actress, or even let's talk about specifically your time in high school, going and saying, what, I'm going to be part of these productions and I'm going to, I'm going to try my best to be the lead. I'm going to put my best foot forward. There's got to be somewhat of an expectation that we are going, when you do that, there is a possibility of being judged and that being negatively. So do you think that it was mainly because of the environment you were in at the time and the headspace you were in at the time of a high schooler, that's why it was all piling up? Or even to this day, do you have that kind of difficulty in separating the criticism, the constructive criticism, from the resentment and the hate?
I mean, it can be hard sometimes, especially the more passionate about something that I am, the harder it can be to hear something that is going to criticize it, because it's hard. It's a lot harder to not take it to heart if it's something you're passionate about. But I came to understand that a lot more through college, because the whole point of college as an acting degree is for them to tell you what's not working.
Yes.
And that's where I learned that whole curious, not critical, because it allowed me to understand and process critical feedback, without letting it destroy me or tear me apart. I also think one of the other things about acting that I enjoy is that I can pour myself into a role that's not myself. So it's like an escape from being myself for a moment, but part of what makes an acting performance real is that there is part of yourself in it.
Yeah.
So it's like getting to be yourself but not yourself. And so then also sometimes if people make judgments about like the character, the way that you portrayed the character, it's the character, it's, you can also hide as yourself in a character, which is kind of cool and kind of therapeutic.
Yeah. Wow. I had never thought of that take. I love that. I feel like I understand it a little bit more from that point of view. So, now we're treading towards the whole, so-and-so or parent friend group that's talking shit. What happened after that? Did you have a tight-knit friend group outside of those people that were talking their smack while you were away? Or what's and are you still close to them to this very day?
I really don't talk to anyone from high school. There's one girl who we both kind of we were kind of just over that catty drama. We used to write letters to each other a bunch, like just because I like to write letters. So like we were pen pals, which was kind of fun for a while. But I don't, because some of them are still like kind of caught up in high school bullshit. Like I remember sophomore year, I came home and like a group of them made a point to make sure that I knew that they were doing like they were all hanging out and making gingerbread houses together, but I wasn't invited. And there was that moment where I felt sad I laughed and I felt sad for them.
How fucking petty.
You're still on this bullshit. How old are you now? It's not high school anymore.
Yeah.
You're adults now. Yeah. Be a grown-ass woman, okay? Like.
Then again, they might have seen the VOD of you making your gingerbread house, all right? We didn't count that out.
I inspired that.
That's why you actually intentionally threw yours on the ground. You're like, this is bullshit.
Like, see this tradition? Fuck it. It was just one giant middle finger to all of them. But.
I'm not gonna lie, I there are times on stream I also grandstand my old like, man, fuck you guys from high school, college that I still know talking your shit. All right, it's ridiculous. I'm at the stage in life. I'm close to my 10-year reunion in high school. That's gross.
Damn.
Wow. I'm the gravity in your voice as you say "damn" is what really hit. That hurt. That hit different. But it is that realization where it's like, when do we give it up? When do we start living our own lives? When do we finally? And I would say only recently. I would say when I was 25 was when I finally had the stride of, okay, this is who I am, and I'm comfortable with who I am, and I'm gonna rock this person. And of course, there's an evolution. But for the meantime, like I this is what I fuck with. I love the candor though of your high school experience. That's so telling. I don't want to ever push a topic that's too much, Aya. And I want to. I don't know if I told you this in DMs, but I'll tell you again now. If there's any time a topic or any time things get a little too candid or too raw or too difficult to talk about, we can move on. That's never an issue. All right, that's never an issue here. But when you're talking about the mental space you were in high school, where it took the lack of makeup to understand that, oh shit was going on, what happened after that? What was the story? How did you find solace? How did you find comfort after finally someone notices that you weren't swimming, you were drowning silently?
Yeah, it was a really big process because basically, so I stopped wearing makeup. People notice something's up, but they don't really know. One of my friends kind of decides to like, hey, let's go get food, let's talk. And that's when I told her at the first time, like, there was a period of time because it was just all so lonely, and there was one I had like have a memory of one specific day that I remember. I was at a voice lesson. I took some voice lessons when I was younger, and I talked to my voice teacher about it in passing, and she was like, you just got to grow up, everybody goes. And like that was just the last thing that I needed to hear. And I remember driving home thinking like, that's it, I'm done. And I got home and I fell asleep, so that's a good thing. But I told my friend about it, and that's the first time anyone realized that like, that kind of stuff was happening.
Yeah.
And that's when my mom came into my room, and like the first interaction with her that I had about it was that what I was doing and my how I was feeling and the issues that I had with self-harm was hurting the family. And I just felt like I was being a disappointment. Like that's how it felt to me. And it was just such a terrible, it was a big journey because they sent me to see a bunch of different mental health people. And the first person that I had to go see, it was terrible. So I go in, they'd make me take off everything, put on a thing to make sure that nothing I can use to hurt myself. Like I wasn't dangerous to anyone. I just hated myself, But they regarded me as like this like security threat. And
Yeah.
the lady who was asking all the questions wasn't talking to me. She was talking to my dad the whole time. And at one point he's like, has she always had behavioral issues or attitude issues? And I literally was like, are you trying to help me? Or are you trying to sit here? Like, like some people should not be in that profession. But then the other thing was I didn't want to go to therapy. I didn't want to talk to anybody about anything, especially after experiences like that. And I could run circles around a lot of that because they could ask me about a scar on my arm, and I could look at them with a smile and be like, I'm doing all right. Like I have to go, like I have this stuff going on. Like I could look at them and smile and seem perfectly put together.
Oh yeah, no.
Because I didn't want to talk to them. And so I was also very anti getting help, like I was like, I'm fine.
Wow.
Like I don't need any, because in my experience, no one's going to help me. Like the way that I used to feel about it is like people's patience for depression has the half-life of shelf life of half and half. I mixed up the word.
Yeah.
It's longer than you'd think, but still not long enough. And at a certain point, it just goes bad all of a sudden, and people are like, you're not better? Shouldn't you be better by now? And all of a sudden people just stop caring, or they're just tired of it. And it's so frustrating as a person because they basically say, you're on medication now, or you're seeing a therapist and you're on medication. That means you're better. Or you were doing really good yesterday, so you're on the upswing. But that's not at all how it works. Like it's so much of a roller coaster. Some days are good days, some days are bad days. You can be doing really well for a while and then still have a really bad day. Like that's what's been so frustrating about the process. And being in a religious environment, I'd go to the counselor's office and they'd be like, this is all in God's hands. And that's what they would tell me about the situation. And that was just it was not helpful to me to have, they're like, it's part of God's plan.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to apologize. And I've been in that situation of being the teacher. And I agree with you. You don't say that. I mean, you do say that to an extent, but there's also professional help. Like you have to. May I ask you, what got you to the point of not wanting help to, all right, let's give it a try?
So I had a therapist that was really like very, very nice and very gentle, and I felt safe with her. And it allowed me to feel kind of safe to talk about it a little bit. Like it was very, it would be little bits of information that I felt comfortable talking about. And then when I was kind of done with her, like, as the whole run circles around her, everything's fine now. I think my favorite therapist that I've ever gotten, she's understanding and validating, but she'll call me out on my shit. And I still talk to her, sometimes. She's one of my absolute, she was the family therapist that we saw. But she's so good at, it's also like, she's very friendly and very personable. Like, I feel like I'm talking to a friend about my stuff. And so, like, it's one of those where, like, sometimes when I'm talking about stuff, she'll validate me and be like, absolutely, I think that you were in the right in that situation. And I think the other person, validate me. But then she'll be like, but you could have done this better. And I think that this is on you. Like, she sees through the bullshit.
100%.
And I appreciate that. Because I need someone who's going to call me out on my bullshit so that they're like, I know you're not just fine. Or I know, like, when I first went to go see her, I didn't want to be there. I sat in her office like this, and I stared at the ground, and I thought I wasn't going to say a word.
All right, Goodwill Hunting. What is this? Yeah, this.
Like,
I
was
this.
so angry to be. I was like, I don't need this. I'm fine. Like, I can handle my. And I don't know how she did it, but somehow I ended up talking, and I felt better, and I was like, okay, so I guess this is helpful. I'll admit that I'm wrong here. But yeah, I think it was just finally realizing that it is helpful and that, like, it's stupid to try to do everything by yourself. When there's someone who can help you.
Yeah.
Like, when you know that there's someone that you can rely on. Like, I know she's getting paid to handle me, but, like, she was also someone I could tell, like, she really listened, she really cared, and she wasn't making judgment. So, I don't know. I think that was really it for me, is just knowing that it felt like talking to a person, not like a medical professional who's sitting there assessing my whatever
case or whatever they want to. I agree with you. It's the humanizing part. It's someone you could trust. It's creating the safe space. Definitely, myself to include, went to therapy, did that run, and I've had 5 in total, and there's literally only one that I'm like, oh, this person's chill. Like, I enjoy her a ton. She listens, make an environment in which I feel not just comforted but heard, and I think that is especially those that are dealing with depression or anxiety. That feeling of being heard and knowing that you're not alone is what is the difference maker, at least in my experience there. If I may ask you a general question, with your friends or in friends in general, how do you choose them?
I'm very much quality over quantity. I also feel very overwhelmed in a big group of people, but I've always been of the mindset that I'd rather feel really close to a few people than feel kind of distant from a bunch of people. I'd rather spend time emotionally investing a lot in a few people that I know that I can get along with and that I trust. Just because, I don't know, like, I feel like sometimes it's better to just have a tight-knit group of a few friends because you can really get to know them and you can really, like, I don't want to just know people at surface level. Like, if I'm friends with someone and for me to consider someone a friend, like, I don't want it to be surface level. Like, I want to feel like I can talk to them about stuff. I want to feel like we can joke around and goof off and be ridiculous, but we can also have a real conversation. And someone who I would just trust, like my best friend in the whole world. We met because we were roomed together at college, like purely by chance. And, she was just here yesterday because I was having a panic attack and she was like, I'm there, like, I got it.
Oh yeah.
We hung out and we had real conversations and we joked around and we watched some shows and, like, that's what I want. Like, that's so cool. Just being able to sit and do and talk about anything. Yeah.
Someone that's got your back and willing to. Yeah. The fact that she dropped everything, I was like, all right, I'm good to go. I'm there. That's such
I am so lucky. Actually, Maurice Ravel, that's my.
There she is. Hey, Maurice. Much love. Shout out, Maurice. All right, Payne, you got it. Shout out. Oh, she's tearing up right now. You see? Isn't it? It's so cool to be able to, like, tell people what they mean to you and how much they've impacted your life, because we live our lives and we're the stars of our own show. We're all doing our own shit. And so, like, to even have this moment and be like, yeah, I really needed that. And that was such a cool thing that person did. And, like, I hope that's underlined of why I value the relationship and friendship. But that's awesome. I will say this: small bladder, small man. I've been drinking water like crazy. Do you need to use the restroom, Maya? Are you good?
I'm good.
You're good? All right. Well,
Yeah,
once
I should
again,
probably drink more water.
yeah, I'm just recovering. The chat's yours. I'll be right back in another 30 seconds or so.
It's Maui time. Hi, Maddie. I miss you. Do you miss Maui? Or Maddie? I've called Maddie Maui and Maui Maddie so many times. It's embarrassing. What? Prediction started. Win channel points if you... What? Is that a thing? That's so cool. I love you guys too. You have another fun fact? What's your fun fact? She's been sharing the chair with me because she jumped in there, so I haven't been able to use the back support. What? Okay, fine. Let me set you down. Okay, hold on. What? I've never seen this before. Wait, that's so cool. Oh, they gave it to half of affiliates and... What? How do they decide how to do that? It's like with the whole little celebration thing. What the heck? Wait, that's so stupid. Twitch, what? It's like, oh, I can't tell you that you'll get the options of quality for your video because I'm Twitch, and that makes sense. Sorry, I'm bitter. When are you going to talk about Dom? Who's Dom? I'm doing all right. I think the Benadryl helped, but it knocked me out. I took some this afternoon, and it knocked me on my ass. So. Isn't he? Oh my god. Oh, the 1 minute. I think he's gonna grab water.
That was wild. It is raining like crazy outside. That's the reason. I had to check. Yeah, no. Believe me.
I
Hopefully.
forgot what rain is in Southern California. It just doesn't.
Oh my! It's great. I actually love it, but I'm just scared about the power. I'm making sure it's good. We're moving on from the family, friends, education part, and let's talk a little bit about work. All right. Let's talk about that work history. In total, how many jobs have you had before we get into them?
I think job-wise, like 4, because I've done some acting projects, but those are hard to distinguish, I guess, because it's like a specific project, like a long-term job.
So let's get into chronologically, though. All right. So the very first one, what was the position, and how old were you?
So the very, very first job that I ever had, I actually was doing senior portrait photography.
Oh, nice.
I used to do photography for fun, and then I would do like senior photos for people who were, getting ready to graduate high school and stuff, and I got paid to do it. So that was a good time. It was pretty, because it was, a little bit more on my own terms. So I did that for a little bit, and then I worked at the acting studio that I used to go to. That was a whole time, because my boyfriend at the time started working there too, and then broke up with me, and we both worked at the same place. So that was fun.
Yeah.
And the owner of the studio just yelled at everyone sometimes, and I remember when I first started working there, she was like, so she's new, so I'm definitely paraphrasing, but it was kind of a take what she says with a grain of salt kind of thing. So like immediately, like, anyone who's taking the class isn't going to respect me because I'm new, and she just told them that, and I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
So that one was a little difficult for just a myriad of reasons. And then I worked at a pie shop, coffee shop, hybrid in college, which is fun. I got to learn how to make coffee, and I'm a big coffee fan.
Hey.
So, and part of my job was to taste test.
Yeah.
I keep messing up all my words today.
It's all good.
We got to try pie as a part of our job because we had to know what it tastes like and what was in it. So
what were the best ones? What were the ones that are memorable to you?
they had an apple crumble pie, and the crumble on top was like top tier. And then they had one that was a matcha pie that had like a layer of caramel on the crust. Sorry, caramel. Everybody gets on my ass for how I say caramel.
No, that's fine. I got you.
Anyway, that was on the crust, and it was matcha. They had like a cherry one, a blueberry. They had so many good ones, and a lot of them were seasonal.
Yeah.
So, and we got to try them all, and like they used to have a thing that was like any pies that were technically expired, you could only have the pie out for a certain amount of days that you could sell it, and they were still good, but all the rest of them got thrown away. Yeah. So they basically were like, take it home.
Oh, what?
So one day I got to take, and like these were kind of bougie pies too.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Anywhere from like $5 to $7 for a slice.
What?
Because they were like nice ass pies, you know? And so I one day took home a bag full of like 3 full pies and some slices. And of course I can't eat all of them. I'm staying in the dorms.
Yeah.
So I posted on my Snapchat. I was like, anybody want free pie? And then I just remember like I posted it, and like two minutes later I hear someone screaming and running down the hallway of the dorm. And so that's how I made some friends.
Yeah. This lady's pushing pies. Holy cow.
So that was pretty fun. And like I
so
like
funny.
was able to give I got like an employee discount, so like any of my friends who came through was like, I got you, like
plug.
family and friends, you know.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So it was good. I liked that. Everyone who worked there was really nice. I didn't mind it. The only thing was they closed pretty late, so on Fridays and Saturdays I'd end up closing, and I'd walk back to the dorms because I didn't have a car at that point. So I'd walk back to the dorms at like 1:30 in the morning, and it wasn't too far away, but it was far enough that it was a little sketchy. And so that was my only thing that was like, you know, and then I drink way too much espresso and be buzzing all night, so that was also probably not good. Because I got free coffee while I worked there, which is dangerous for me. But yeah, it was really good. I actually enjoyed that one a lot. But then towards the end of working there, the schedule was just kind of rough because it didn't always work with class schedule, and I had to try to fix it and work around it. And towards the end of working there, I had gotten notified that because I had applied for and gotten accepted for a tour guide position on campus, which is a lot more, it works a lot more with class schedule, obviously, because it's through like their office of admission. And so I got to get trained, and I got to give tours to campus tours to families. And I absolutely loved that because it's basically just it's like a version of a performance because you have to put on your pleasant parent, you know, like you're talking to kids and their parents, so you have to make sure that like the information you're giving out is not like, so this is where we all get drunk in December, and you know, like,
you know, surprisingly, there are some kids. Because I also have been, I used to be a tour guide as well for my college. There are surprisingly kids that would say that, would be like, this is the party dorm, and I remember standing next to you. I was like, this is your last time being here. That's crazy. That's insane. That it couldn't be me. But hey, this is insane. I didn't even get to ask you about your college time. If I may make a little bit of a sidetrack.
Oh,
your time in college. What are you studying, and how did you decide upon this being the place you want to go and study and invest all your time towards, or major in? I'm sorry, focus.
Yeah. So I typically don't say where I went to school just because.
Yeah, of course.
Just as a personal life thing. Someday maybe, but so I was choosing between schools because I got into quite a few for acting. When it came down to it, there were a lot that I was kind of deciding between, like among them, like UCLA, USC, and NYU for their programs. And so I ended up choosing, I chose the school that I chose, and I was really worried because it was like, there's so many different options. Like, am I making the wrong decision? And at least from the standpoint of, I met my absolute best friend in the world, like immediately as I moved in, like that was definitely a plus. And, but so I studied acting, and I was also in the honors college, which is basically a interdisciplinary study kind of thing. So they try to get you to study a little bit from all around the school that you might not study. So like you have to take some sort of science course and some sort of like sociology-esque course, and basically making you a more well-rounded citizen. And it's a small class size, so you did discussions. So it was about discussing difficult topics, which I appreciated. Yeah. Sometimes it was good. Sometimes you got a room full of people who thought they were smarter than everyone else, and no progress was made, which was frustrating. But I got to learn a lot of really cool really cool things there. Like I took a class, sociology, those classes were probably my favorite because I took one that was on death and dying, which was super fascinating, just about like the process, how it's changed over cultures and times. And I took one on like sex and sexuality, which was super helpful because I had no concept of any of it. Having gone to a religious school, it was basically like, don't have sex, you'll get an STD, like that kind of stuff. So I learned a lot about it, and it was actually probably one of my favorite classes that I've taken as far as teaching me stuff that'll help me in life. Because I think it's important to teach. I could go on a whole spiel about, you know, that, but at a base level, I was like, I just feel more empowered as a person and female, just knowing stuff and having the idea of, you know, what exists and that kind of stuff. It was an interesting class. But then I also took one more sociology class that was a winter term class where we did like 10 days of meditation and mindfulness in the Rocky Mountains.
Ooh.
That was the coolest thing that I've ever done because they take away all technology. You have no phones, no laptops. It's just you, everybody else, meditating, nature, and sometimes it was snowing, and there was a big, beautiful temple that you could go, and it was really rough because it was 9 hours of meditation some days. And to sit still that long, my mind is always racing. So the hardest thing for me was trying to, because the goal is to calm your mind and just kind of exist and be with yourself existing. But I learned a lot from that, just kind of about myself. And like, that's the first time that I really had a concept of like practicing love towards yourself so that you can practice love towards others better. So like the idea that you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else, like it just kind of hit me. Like the first 2 days of the trip, I got altitude sickness. So like every morning, both mornings, I just like threw up and felt terrible. And I was like, no, I can power through. It's okay. And someone was like, listen, no, lay down, rest, and take care of yourself. It's important. And so I did that, and I did a little reading on one of the books that was kind of just about like how to just kind of about certain ideology and just the idea of taking care of yourself and showing yourself love just really hit me on that trip. And so it was kind of a cool, I don't know, it was like a cool process as a person because it taught me just kind of how to let go. And one of the other things that it taught me was a lot about, usually when someone lashes out at you, it's because they feel deep pain in some shape or another. And so that's the first time that I ever felt sympathy and empathy for my mom, because I kind of understood what she had been going through. Like I had a moment, it was like one of those weird moments that I can't really explain, but I remember sitting there meditating one day and it just like hit me, and I felt like crying because I just felt like I could feel my mom's pain, and I felt like I understood what she was going through. So it just like that one was, it was a very impactful class for me just because it taught me a lot about perspective. And like that kind of aligns with like another thing that my therapist had told me, that how someone reacts to you and treats you says more about them than it does about you. So it just kind of, it's like, it was a lot of pieces of my life kind of coming together. And I think it was very transformational for me as a person. And that's like, I think the biggest thing for me about college is that I get shit sometimes from people who just graduated and tried to go act. They're like, why are you going to school for it? That's not going to get you a job. Which, I mean, I'm going to disagree because I think I've learned a lot. I've become more confident in my skills as an actor, and I've learned a lot of technique that I can apply. But also, I think college for me was about growing up and figuring out who I am. And that's something that I think is, you can get that without going to college. Like, I think it's definitely possible. But for me, it was a big step into being myself and figuring out what I believe for myself. Not having like, this is what my parents believe, this is what I believe. And I could figure out who I was starting from scratch, because the school I went to, it was preschool through high school. I was there basically my whole life before that. So I got to fully start over and be whatever version of myself that I wanted to be. And I think that it was such a big, it was so, so important for me because it allowed me to kind of solidify, this is who I am, and like, I'm okay with this. Like, this is who I'm proud to be, you know? And that's why I wouldn't trade that, like the experience of going to college, I wouldn't trade it for anything else, because it was just a lot of figuring things out, sometimes the hard way, but definitely figuring it all out. Well, not all of it. I'm still learning, but
Some of it. Some of it.
Like a solid foundation.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. Let's I'm going to ask you a very open-ended question, but it's because you said a statement where I'm like, oh, I got to do it. I can't help myself. You said that college is a place to find who you were a little bit, right? And you have or you're about to wrap up your senior year, correct?
I finished it
Oh, so you finished it already. All right, that's right. That's
at the
right.
end of last spring.
Gotcha. Perfect. So then the question remains, however you'd like to interpret this statement or this question, who are you? What do you stand for? What did you discover during your time in college to say, oh, this is who I am, and solidify that character within you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, definitely solidified myself more as like empathetic. Like I care about people. Like I care about people and how they feel, on a level. I care about knowing who they are and why they are that way. Understanding beyond the surface value of things, because oftentimes how you first judge someone isn't how they are, and like that's something that I experienced a lot. Like a lot of my friends in high school told me like, yeah, I thought you were a bitch before I knew you, which is cool, and that's super fun to hear. But like knowing that and then trying to have discussion, like being a person that's going to push for conversation instead of a yelling match. Because one of my other things that it's an acting thing, but it applies to real life, is don't be that person in a scene waiting just to say their next line. Listen to the other person and respond to the other person. And that applies to discussion.
Wow.
Like don't just be waiting to say your next your next piece, and that's where I really learned a lot of that. Like you're going to disagree with a lot of people fundamentally. But if you want to make any progress, if you want to make any kind of middle ground, you're going to have to listen first. Like I learned this so my brother and I are definitely more liberal, and my dad's pretty conservative. My brother always just attacks. Like my dad, when he talks to my dad, it's always like attack. Yeah. And they don't have conversations typically. They have like arguing matches. When I talk to my dad, I try to understand. I disagree with a lot of what he believes sometimes, but I try to come from a middle ground of like, okay, why do you feel this way, and what is, and then try to express my opinion in a way that's like, okay, well, I hear you and I understand how you could feel this way, but it's like about validating, okay, yes, this might be your reality, this is how you feel, but like here's a counterpoint. And so I've kind of figured out a lot more about that. And just as far as me as a person, like I'm goofy and I'm weird, but I feel a lot. Like I feel very deeply, which sometimes I wish I didn't, but I probably care too much sometimes. I don't know. I'm just I feel like I'm not any kind of type of person. Like I'm a blend of a lot of things. And I think that's one of the other things that I realized in college is like, I don't want to be one thing or another, and that also goes into like my racial makeup. Like I'm not just Asian and I'm not just white, I'm both. And it's about embracing the blend and not having to be one distinctly categorizable thing, and just being any kind of blend that you want to be and not being worried if it can be put into a category.
The line that you dropped again, I'm just gonna be writing this shit down. This stuff is about to be a tattoo on me at some point, but I love that mindset of I don't want to butcher your quote, so I'm gonna give you the quote that is equivalent of something that I've heard in my own life, where it's like listen to understand, don't listen to respond. So rather than just simply, many people, and maybe this might be a thing of technology / texting, but the art of conversation, intentional conversation, doesn't really exist anymore. It's very cut and dry. It's very literally, if you type in on your phone, on your iPhone, like a hi, it'll kind of fill in the rest of it for you. So you're not even thinking intentionally of what to say because it's autofilled. So to listen to understand, that's such a powerful line, and I really want to underline that for you, not for yourself, but for the people that are watching, listening to us tonight, because that is really in my opinion, that is the core of real conversation. A lot of people are like, how do you guys talk? How can you guys do this? How do you talk so real? It's because you listen. It's because the prerogative for this show, this prerogative for speaking with Aya, is because I have the mentality of I want to learn at least one thing new. And right now she's giving me more than my money's worth of and we're not even halfway in, but she's giving me more of my damn money's worth because there's so much good stuff. And this is perspective, similar to how you experience this in the mountains. This is perspective that's so different. I have never lived your life. I have no idea. And so hearing this stuff and kind of being able to pick and choose which one applied directly, which one hit directly, I'm like, holy cow, there's a lot going on here that I'm even not aware of. But I love that, man. You've absolutely killed it so far with that. It sounds like to me, and now to kind of just ask a random college question here. Was your freshman year? I feel like when in a household that is very demanding, somewhat pseudo strict, college, especially living in the dorms, is always a big step. It's a big transition. I'm out of the household. Was your prerogative ever at any point in your college career to live that typical American college lifestyle? We're talking, going out. We're talking about the whole forcing the introvert in you to be an extrovert for the sake of experience.
A little bit, yeah. When I first got to college, like, there were a couple of nights pretty early on that I was just drunk out of my mind. I fell off my bed onto my desk onto the floor one night, and I had a giant gash in my leg the next day. I barely remember it, but I remember being like, guys, I think I'm bleeding. And they're like, no, you're fine. You're okay. And I'm like, no, but I think I'm bleeding. They told me I was fine. The next morning, I wake up, this giant bruise and gash in my leg.
Those are good friends.
Yeah, real good friends. And then after that, I was mortified, being just an absolute mess. So I just didn't do anything. Maddie, my roommate, and I, we just hung out in the room and we just watched TV shows and hung out, like did homework. I didn't really go out much. I did on occasion, like I'd go out to the occasional like frat party, but I just got so uncomfy at those because like typically it feels like a bunch of sharks just circling, waiting to catch their prey. Like I've watched before, I've been there generally sober once, and like it's just gross because you see people just like walking and watching and waiting, and it feels a little gross.
Yeah. So it 100% is a game. I'm not even like there's no sugarcoating it. Like, and the analogy of sharks on the hunt, exactly it. Literally, I think I've had a friend group that's called it that. Where like, all right, the sharks are out tonight, and I was like, I am 5'6", guys. Let's chill out here. All right, you are all 6 feet tall. You're in the basketball team. I am here purely to make sure that none of you guys are a liability to me, as well as going out with the others. All right, I'm here trying to find the nice lady in the corner that doesn't want to go dance. All right, that's it. That's my whole prerogative that evening. But I love that. I love that you realized it wasn't your scene very early on, and so you're like, I tried it. You at least tried it. You gave it the old college try.
I tried. It's like I tried a couple of times, and if I had a group of friends to go out with, I'd go out. Like I just wanted to go dancing. Like I just wanted to have a good time. So like on occasion, I'd go do it, but also I get Asian glow, so I just don't have a great time normally. It's a bad time because I turn bright red and get a headache really quickly. But like I had some good times, and if it's with a good group, like, and people that I have fun with, like it's a fun time. But I'm also I've never really been into hookup culture, which could be from my upbringing, just because sex was inherently bad. But like, that's never been my thing. Like for me, I think that I say this jokingly, but also seriously, I was like, there's nothing sexier than emotional intimacy. Because, like, I don't know, like, for me, it's, like, also being a female, you never know what's going to happen if you get alone with someone you don't know. So, like, there's that anxiety. But also, I like to get to know people. And just for me personally, how I've always been, like, that kind of sex is something that it's special. Like, and for people who are into hookup culture, I have no hate. Like, I'm glad that it works for them. And sometimes I wish that that's what I was into. But it's like, I just like to know who I'm with, because I feel like it's more special if it's a shared experience between, someone that I'm not saying like, I'm not like a save it for marriage kind of person, but I'm like, if you know them, I feel like you can also feel safer with them. You feel freer with them, and it can be a better time because you're on the same page.
I was about to say, like, I think the hookup feel, the culture that it feels very, and this is again more opinionated, it feels empty. It feels empty. You could be with that person, and you like, especially in that intimacy, like you said, special moment. But even when it's all said and done, you're like, holy cow, all right, well, now what? How do I transition out of this? How do I just put on my pants and leave? Do I call you the Uber? Like and it's so, especially when you go from relationship, long-term relationship, and then go into hookup culture, you see the stark differences in how there's such a lack of emotion in all of this. This is purely, it's an exchange, and that's that. And like, all right, we fed into it. See you later. Maybe I'll call you later. Maybe I'll text you later for, around whatever. But it is it is a little bit, not a little bit, it's a lot. I think it can fuel the fire of loneliness even more. As a general take there. Going towards back to work. All right. I don't know if you mentioned your fourth job.
Oh, yeah, that was being a tour guide.
Tour guide, that's right. Of those 4 jobs that you had mentioned, which one impacted you the most, and what did you learn from that job that you still apply today?
I feel like they all impacted me in different ways. The one where I worked at the acting studio taught me a lot about, a lot of the time you're just gonna have to smile and wave and pretend like, you're gonna have to take shit in life. You're gonna have to be yelled at. You're gonna have to be degraded in front of other people sometimes, which sucks. But how to take it, and most importantly, how to hold yourself together until you get into the car, until you get home, and then you scream, and then you cry, and then like I learned a lot from that. And then also from the tour guide job, it was just about how to interact with people, and also it was just a different version of of being able to present myself professionally but personably. So being professional and like relatable and personable at the same time. I think that was also another important. Actually, from that job, I learned how to walk backwards and not fall. So that's a pretty big skill.
Yeah. That's huge. I 100% resonate with falling on my ass while trying to talk about the school. In 1950, it just does not work. It does not.
I know. I'd always be like, guys, I'm going to fall. Please let me know. Or if you're not going to let me know, please at least record it and post it somewhere. Like,
please, I need this. Take this review. Tell them how good of a job I did. 100%. Yes. We're moving on to the last segment of life stories. All right, you've killed it so far. You've been so candid and honest, and I'm so grateful for what we've learned so far. But this is the spot of the night that everyone kind of turns on the speaker a little bit louder. They lean in a little bit closer, and it's because it's about your romantic history, your romantic relationships. All right, Miss I know. Okay. So I'm going to try my best to navigate this as smoothly as I can. But let me ask you the first question here. How many relationships in total have you had that you would count?
2.
Okay, 2. All right. Similar to how we did the work history, let's start in chronological order. How old were you for the first one, and how'd you guys meet?
I was a junior in high school, and we met because we did a play together, actually. It was Cyrano de Bergerac, so our characters were romantically entangled. So that's how we met. Big mistake. I should not date actors.
Why? Why is that?
At least with the person that I ended up with, we were both very emotionally passionate, which made arguments way more explosive. And we were very, like, also, he was an actor, so he was just better at being sneaky and manipulative, which was, like, one of the big problems with the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not the best. It wasn't, like, it didn't start terribly. Obviously, I wasn't like, this guy's an asshole, I'm gonna date him. But, for me, it was, I guess I had such low standards for myself that he was just the first person who made me feel not like special, but like the thing that I remember is we were doing like our one-act play competition, which is the play that we did. And we were in like the bus on the way back, and I was like lying on the floor taking a nap or something. And super cliche, he was like a football player. He put his jacket on me because I was cold.
Was it a Letterman's jacket?
Something. Yeah, it was.
Of course
I'm so sorry.
Of course it was. Oh my gosh.
And we were talking about something, and I don't remember how it came up. And I said, like, oh, like, yeah, but I'm weird. And he's like, I know, but like, I like that. If you weren't weird, then you wouldn't be you. And like, to me, that was the first person who ever said anything about like that, like my weirdness was a good thing, or like that was it for me. That's all I needed.
I need to write that down. That's a great line.
Like,
That's a great line. No, I'm not.
Yeah. And it was interesting. Like, everything was really good for a while. Like, my family loved him. He was really great. Like, he was kind of like an older brother to my sister. Everybody loved him. Everybody knew him. He was around a lot. And like, everything seemed really good. And he was a year older, so he was a senior when I was. And I feel like things got kind of weird when he graduated, because then he was doing different. He didn't go to college, so he didn't get into he got into a school based off of appeal. So they rejected him at first, and he got in based off of an appeal, and then he decided not to go because he wanted to do acting. So then he started trying to do that. He went to the acting studio that I went to, started taking classes there. And it was just like his life was kind of different because he was out of high school. So he was kind of doing whatever. And I was still doing high school, you know? So like I was still having homecoming and prom and all that kind of stuff. And I remember one of the things was, so I knew his ex that he dated before me because she and I were on dance team together. And she told me one day, she graduated the same year as him. And one day I remember she was at practice because her younger sister was in it as well. And she told me that he was drunk texting and drunk calling her. So I went to talk to him about it. And the conversation ended up that I felt super shitty for doubting him. Like, it was like, I can't believe I ever doubted him. Like, that, you know, I'm such a shitty person. I didn't find out till after we broke up that was true. His ex-best friend thought because I was his ex and he was his ex-best friend that we were going to become best friends. It was a weird time. But he basically told me, yeah, he was doing that. Like, that was happening. That the other thing his, like, ex-best friend told me, he's like, yeah, the only reason he stayed as long as he did is because he really liked your. And I'm like, cool. So he was a big gaslighter. Like, if I came to him with something that was any kind of accusation at him, I would leave the conversation feeling like the shittiest person in the world for ever even challenging him. He's also the person that I had lost my virginity to, and there was a lot of issues with that because I was pretty drunk and he was not. I remember that because that happened, and then I got text from my mom because I was out past curfew. So I had to go home. And I guess I was okay enough, but I drove home. He let me drive home after that happened, which I'm still kind of pissed about because, you know, like in my mind, I was like, I have to get home. I'm in so much trouble, but I don't know. And then with him, it was just kind of one of those, like, as far as that goes, I've talked about it before on stream, but like, it just kind of wasn't a good situation because I never really felt comfortable. I just kind of, in any kind of like sexual interaction, I just kind of did what he told me to do because it wasn't my choice. I had no idea what was happening, so I just kind of followed. And I think the turning point for me when I knew that something was up was at one point we were, you know, being intimate, and he told me to shut up while we were in that kind of like intimate space. And then afterwards I cried, and he was like, why are you crying? And he got all mad. So that's probably a reason why I'm not super into hookup culture, because like in that moment, I just remember feeling like I'm just a piece of meat here and I can't do anything. Like, I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
It was a bad situation.
Yeah. No, definitely.
That's probably also partly a reason why I'm not into culture, because it's like I've felt kind of what it could feel like, except that was probably worse because it was someone that I trusted.
Yeah.
So that relationship wasn't great. And then, like I said, I mentioned earlier, he started working at the same place that I worked at, and then broke up with me. And then it was super awkward because we were both there. Later, though, in one of my classes, he was working and I was taking the class. I filmed a scene that was kind of basically about it, and I got to like talk about like in the scene, it was me basically calling him out.
Yeah.
And it was funny because the acting coach was like, all right, we need someone to be a reader for this. And everyone was like, oh, I don't know, because I kind of altered the scene because I wanted it to hit harder for me and like challenge me emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone's like, oh, I don't really know this. And he's like, I'll do it. And she's like, I don't think that's a good idea. Because like I added direct experience into the language of the scene. But he was being like cocky and smug about it. So I literally got to, in the name of acting, tell him everything that I wanted to say. Which was kind of therapeutic. After that, I just felt like, yeah. Okay.
Did he know,
and I went out.
that this was about him?
Oh,
Verbatim?
he knew. He was pissed. Apparently, afterwards, he was super angry, and our acting coach was like, I think you both needed that. And yeah.
Yeah, true.
So, like,
actually,
that was like
100%.
it was a good. Yeah. I got to just kind of tell him how I felt about it, and you know, how shitty I felt and how shitty he made me feel, and it was
empowering, it sounds
yeah,
like,
it was
and
very
healing.
empowering. So that was kind of like best case scenario.
That's the kind of closure most people don't get. Like that's
Yeah.
like, fuck you, you know, you did this, this, and this. I'm gonna say to your face and in front of people, and this pain and hurt that I've been having to you know, bear and carry alone, which is unfair because this is relationship supposed to be a 2-person thing. Well, now here it is. Damn, that's beautiful. That's that's insane. that's how everything turned out to be.
It's fantastic because I have just like videoed proof.
Yeah.
Of you can't see him in the scene, but you can hear him and you hear him getting actually angry. Like that's not acting. It's genuine anger. But the thing is, he couldn't say anything. He couldn't make me stop talking.
No.
Because it wasn't his line.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow. I just to make things clear for myself, at least my point of view. When you found that whole text thing and the whole kind of gaslighting manipulation thing, would you say that was the downfall of your relationship? What was the moment that you realized this is not working out? This is downhill and I need a way out?
I mean, part of it was the whole being told to shut up thing. That was definitely a big moment. But then the other thing was, so I was a senior at the time in college or high school. And we had like our spring musical, and that's when I was Morticia, and I was super excited about it. I was a lead role, and I was super excited about the role. And I remember he kept not showing up and having excuses for it, but he was like, I'll be there the last night. I'll be there the last night. And my mom had reserved a seat for him and for her. And I remember walking out on stage, and he wasn't there. And he knows, as a senior in high school, as a theater person, how important it is to be there. As a performer, when you have someone to show up, like that's what matters.
Yeah.
I just remember walking out and he wasn't there. And at intermission, I was backstage crying with one of my friends because I was like, he's not here. Like he didn't show up. Mm-hmm. So that was a big moment.
100%. And I hope the people also understand. That's so. A lot of the students that I teach are high schoolers, and one of them, she also had a performance. Not a lot of people showed up. My brother and I showed up. What that meant to the individual. It was her senior play as well. Newsies was what she performed in. Loved it. Yeah. Fantastic. And it's that moment of intentional caring. You are going out of your way, whatever it may be, especially if you make promises. I think that's a big one. Don't make promises you can't keep.
Don't say you're going to show up. Don't say you're going to go if you don't intend to.
No. Or even if it's a maybe. That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make a call. But that's a huge fucking deal. Like that's senior night. That's your last hurrah. Who knows what happens afterwards in life? Especially at that moment, it's pretty much the jumping off point. And to miss that while making a promise that you'd be there, man, that's brutal. That's brutal. And to have those emotions during intermission, even worse because the show must go on kind of deal.
Yeah.
So that ended. When did it end and who ended it? Or how did it end? I'm sorry.
It ended towards the end of my senior year, I think, or mid to end of my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah, no, because it was before prom. Because I remember one of my best guy friends took me to prom, and it was a really good time. But it was, nice. He ended it. I didn't want to let go because it was also the first person that I ever loved and the first person that I was ever vulnerable with. You know, in any capacity. You know, I have always had trust issues in life, and part of our relationship was getting past those trust issues so I could trust him and be open with him. And it was just so hard for me to let go, even though I knew that it was bad. I knew that it wasn't right for me. I didn't want to not, like I didn't want to go back to being by myself, because the idea of being alone again was terrifying to me. But that was also because I found validation through him. I didn't have any sense of how to validate and love myself, which is why in college, when I had that whole experience about loving and validating myself, it was so important, because it wasn't about this is my value through him. It's just this is my value, and then there's a person here, which is I didn't date all through college, basically, because it's not that I'm picky, it's just if I don't feel like the relationship is meaningful and we genuinely connect, I don't want to date just to date. And two, I just wasn't in a place with myself that I knew I could be a good partner in a relationship, because I also take responsibility for the fact that in the relationship, I was super needy and that I needed validation. Like, I depended on him for my sense of self, and that was good and bad, like mostly bad, because, if he said something that made me feel bad, like that, my sense of self dropped super low. But then also I had to constantly be like, well, like, am I pretty? Like, do you like me? Like, I just needed that. And that's exhausting for anyone. So that's not to say that I was a perfect significant other. Like, because I was so anxiously self-conscious, I know that I was an absolute energy drain as well. Not to say that it excuses some of the stuff that he did, but it was a two-way,
Sure.
I fucked up too.
Yeah, of course.
And so when it finally was over, it was a gut punch, and I felt like my whole world. But it was honestly the best thing to happen for me. It was kind of like a mercy kill that he did, I guess, if you think about it that way, to let me go like that, because I needed to figure my own shit out. Yeah. I wasn't going to break up with him, but it wasn't a good relationship. So it was hard, but I'm glad that it happened, because it allowed me to move past it and grow, which is a process and hard, but you get there over time.
Of course. So that's relationship number 1. Okay.
Yes.
And let's go on to number 2. How far along did that occur? And how did you meet that person?
So that happened towards the beginning of quarantine. So I met this person through streaming, actually. It's always been a thing. I'm never gonna date a person that I just know from chat, because it's weird. Like, they know me better than I know them. But this person also streams. Okay. And we met through a channel that had kind of gathered people to stream on the channel. And so it was called Mishmash. It was like basically brought a bunch of streamers together, and we'd all stream on that channel like once a week, and it was just a variety group. So they did a podcast that was like Meet the Streamers. So it was a couple different people. And this person was in the podcast as well. And that's the first time that I ever met them. And my defining moment of a great first impression, well, okay, the first impression that I made on this person was a clip of me smashing my face into a cake. So we're starting off strong. And then the second impression was when they asked us all to introduce ourselves. I said, I'm an ethnically ambiguous, self-proclaimed human dumpster fire, or something to that effect. Like, and that's just how I introduced myself. And apparently he thought it was hilarious. I don't understand. But at the end of the podcast, everybody's like, all right, bye. And everybody signed off super fast, except for him and me, because I didn't know everyone was leaving super fast. And I just kind of made some sounds, because I was like, bye. Like, I didn't know what to do, because I just felt instantly awkward, because it was like a one-on-one call all of a sudden. I didn't know this person at all. It was so, and I thought about that for like the rest of the day. I was like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Why? Like, it was classic me not knowing how to talk to people all over again. It was bad.
So I like that a lot, but I love the story of how you guys met. That's ridiculous. Of all right, suddenly I'm in this call, I need to figure it out, get my shit together. Oh, I'm gonna act like the person's not watching. All right, I'm gonna also act like I don't know who this is. But what was it about this individual that won you over?
don't even know. Like, he's goofy, and I love Goofy for one. Like, anyone I can be a goofball with that's a big thing. But he's also very compassionate, like just a very caring person. Like when I started to tune into his stream more, it was just he just cared a lot about all the people in his, on his, like the people who chatted, he cared a lot about them. He cared about people, taking care of themselves. He had a really big heart. And I don't know, that was something that was really, really important to me. And so I kind of had a crush from like the beginning, but I was like, anytime in my college experience I had a crush, it never worked out. So I was like, we'll just we'll be friends. Like I'm cool with just being friends with him. And so it was kind of like we'd hang out in each other's streams, and like that's kind of how it started. And then I got a little schemy. So my mom came into my chat one day, and she was gifting subs, and I was like, Mom, you should gift a sub to this person because he's a part of the mishmash thing that I just started doing. So she gifted a sub to him. But like the mentality behind that was like, we have sub movie nights, and I was like, maybe he'll come and hang out for a sub movie night. He did.
Whoa, long-term schemer here. Jesus.
And he did. And after the movie, that one night, a bunch of us kept hanging out and talking, and that's when I first started talking to him. Like we started actually like having conversations and like, I don't know, talking about just stuff.
Yeah.
It worked. So,
Tell me why this is the first time I've seen you smile all interview. Tell me why this is the most I've seen you laugh. Yeah, that's right, Aya. That's right. Caught red-handed.
What you're talking about.
This is... Holy cow. We finally got some emotions. This is... When it always comes to this segment and I know the person's dating someone, I end up working for the SO that's watching. It happens every time. It's a little bit of the people pleaser, but I gotta say, I'm taking notes. All right, crazy guys. We're doing movie nights every Fridays now. That's insane. That's such a good move. Holy cow! So when he came through and started consistently hanging out, and I assume by that you kind of knew there was a little bit of interest.
So yeah, and one of the other things was I was at home alone because I graduated, but I was still in the house that I was living in, and one of my roommates was from India, so she went home, and then my other roommate was in Arizona, and I get so anxious by all the sounds in the house, and so he's like, hey, if you wanted to like hop on a call if you're anxious and like if that helps. So I was like, yeah, like sure, and so we would talk, or he'd be in his channel watching like a show that I talked about really liking, and I was like, oh, like do you want company? Like I'll watch it, and we just kind of started spending more time together.
That's a winner.
Just talking. And like for me, the best thing is like we had silly conversations and we had really deep conversations, and we were able to talk about kind of everything. So it's like I had the opportunity to get to know him as a person, which was the most important to me. Like I kind of knew that I could talk to him, and like we were kind of dating before we were dating because we were talking all the time. Like we were on Discord calls all the time, just talking about anything, and actually when I drove up from the place that I used to be to the apartment, when I went to tour my apartment, I had said, oh, like, does anyone want to hang out in a VC while I drive? Because traffic's normally just terrible in LA. And he jumped in, and like we just talked the entire drive up. And then at a certain point, I found out that he was doing this thing because we would stream at the same time. He'd be streaming, but he'd have his earphone in, and on his phone, he'd have my stream. So he was simultaneously streaming and listening to my stream at the same time, which I don't know how anyone can multitask that way.
Yeah.
But it was really funny because I would say things in my stream and throw him off on his stream, which happened once. He was streaming on the Mishmash channel that we both streamed on, and I said something about him, and he turns and goes, hey, but no one else on the stream could hear what he was listening to.
Yeah.
He said something like that, and it was so funny because actually Nina, who's here in chat, was like, are you okay? Like, it just looked like out of nowhere. He just, So it was pretty funny. But we were talking a lot, and like we'd kind of just like started to like we'd fall asleep on like a Discord call kind of thing. So like I'd talk to him, and we just, I'd just kind of pass out at a certain point, and like at a certain point, one of us would wake up and be like, "Oh, hey, good morning," I guess.
Whoa.
And neither of us wanted to risk saying that we liked each other, though, because I was like, I'm a dumbass. I probably just really like him, and he's just being really nice. He's just being like a really nice person, because he is a really nice person. So I could see him just putting up with me for the sake of being a nice person. And I would be like, this is the geekiest, nerdiest thing, but I would be like, you fill me with turmoil. The stupidest shit, right? But that was my way of being like, I like you, and I don't know what the hell to do about it, but I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna say it really elusively.
Yeah, you use a fucking encyclopedia. You use the most craziest word. Turmoil? What is that? That sounds like a problem. That's an issue, Aya. That's not a compliment.
Yeah. So that's what I said. And he would say, "What does that mean?" And I'd say that I couldn't say what it meant. And then one night I had moved. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just rinse out the turmoil. I had just moved into my apartment, and I had raided his stream, and he was doing Twitch things, and he was pretty drunk. And someone said something in their chat, because they had been attacking me with compliments, because it's not my thing, and I get all awkward. And so someone said, "Oh, we're complimenting Aya about, like, someone tell Aya, or tell Aya how cute she is, or something." And he said something to the effect of, "Well, that's half true. She's really cute every night when she falls asleep, and in the morning when she wakes up." And he was drunk, and we weren't like dating at that point. And I was just kind of like, okay.
That's an interesting line. Interesting line. Fascinating.
That's
Yeah.
That's some food for thought. And so like the next night, I knew I wanted to tell him that I liked him, because I felt pretty certain at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know Cowboy said a lot of us. It wasn't subtle. We were not subtle. But I knew I wanted to tell him, but I knew that I didn't like I knew I could not get myself to do it, because I was so terrified. So like, I thought it'd be a good idea. Let's drink on stream, right? No filter. And then after stream, I was basically just like, I was pretty drunk, and I was like, "Look, I like you. I don't know if you like me, but I just wanted to tell you." And then we started dating.
There we go.
But we didn't say anything for a while, because I didn't really know what to do about it, and I'd never met him in person. He lives in Jersey, and I'm in California.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom schemed a little bit with him, and he surprised me by showing up, and my reaction was, when I saw him, like, I literally, like, my arms went to my side, and I spun and I spun in circles and hid behind a wall. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? You're in New Jersey, but you're here. Like, it was just like it was the weirdest kind of reaction. But then I was really excited, and I didn't even know what to do.
Yeah.
But I was terrified, because I was like, I've never met you in person. This could be terrible.
Your mom is so awesome.
My mom is
so
very
cool.
schemy. Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit. That's crazy. I love that.
It's also because my mom and my sister, they were like, I've never seen her this happy. Like, I seemed different. Like, I'm a very pessimistic person typically. I lean into the angst, and I don't like to be cutesy or smiley. I don't. And they're like, I've seen you smiling a lot more, and just the way that you act. And yeah, it's a weird thing that happens. I try to deny it as much as I can.
I know. It's undeniable. That's the thing. Especially when you really do like someone. You're not gonna. It overflows. The emotion overflows, and I don't think it's healthy at all to repress that, man. Go do your thing. That's awesome, though. The one question about that relationship, and then we'll move on to the next segment there. If you can give me a state of the union of what it is right now, is it going all right? You guys are all good. You guys, what is the? I guess this is a tough one to ask in terms of like, how do I even form this question? Fuck. Clearly still dating. That's already established. How long has it been already? officially?
We're coming up on, actually, I was talking to Maddie about this, but I think 6 months in December,
Yo, nice.
which is kind of crazy because it feels like I keep saying we don't even know each other that well because for when we first started dating, it was only like a month or two. So, but I guess it's been a little bit.
Let me ask this is the one last question. That's right. Now I recaptured my moment. What is the best attribute, your favorite attribute of your significant other here?
Like personality or like
Anything. The thing that when I bring up, whatever that person's name is, and I ask you, how is so and so, you can't help but think, oh my goodness, this, and I gotta brag about this because this is the best thing. It's crazy that this is the best thing that they do.
it's hard to pick one. For one.
Good answer.
Like the first thing that comes to mind, like when I think about him, is his smile. He has a really cute smile. And then I think also he's just one of the most caring, compassionate people that I've ever met. And I think one of the best. I don't know why, but I'm going to cry, but I think it's because I miss him.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just
Okay.
an emotional person. I think one of the best feelings in the world is just to be held by him.
Yeah.
Because it just feels safe and it feels like everything's good, even if it's chaotic.
I like that. I like that a lot. And that's really beautiful. I will also agree that I think my favorite thing about him is his Waluigi getup. That is by far my favorite attribute of him. But Aya, all right, Aya, you've absolutely killed this. All right, I loved hearing. I know I didn't get the full scope of your story, and to think that one show would ever do that is impossible. But the fact that I got this 15-minute window, a brief look into this world that you lived, from your family to you growing up, your friends, your schooling, all this bullshit and drama, and in high school, talked about your work and your romantic relationships and the state of where it is right now. I think we got a decent, at least, outlook on who you are, not just as a streamer, but as a person. And so going on to the third segment here, I have a handful of questions for you or statements, and this is the part of the show you are going to just have to sit here and take it. And I'm sorry if they're nice, they're nice. If they're mean, they're mean. We have just a couple here. We just have a couple here. First one is, what? I just have update. Can you just tell everyone to stop? Do you know at all what that means? Not at all. All right. I will move on from that. All right. Perfect. Wow. They're going straight for just compliments here. Aya is the best person ever. Also, please ask Cowboy if he's learned any new moves. What does that even refer to? Can you explain to me what that means in your community?
So Tyrese Truth is a member of our community. He's like our resident troll, and his current bit is tagging Cowboy in every channel on the Discord and saying, "Have you learned any new moves?"
What? Why?
It's Tyrese. There's really no rhyme or reason to most things that he does. We just kind of are like, all right, and that's Tyrese.
Perfect. What Aya, what is your highest aspirations in streaming?
If I could make partner, that would be pretty cool. That being said, I don't want it to be at the cost of my community. So that's obviously always an aspiration, but again, my connection to my community is the biggest priority for me. So just to grow the community in a way that I'm still able to talk to everyone and be connected with everyone.
I see. That's what I was going to actually ask you as a follow-up. What do you mean by at the expense of your community? So it's mainly the communication aspect. And
because I know when certain streamers get bigger, it's so hard to talk to everyone and have have active communication with everyone because chat's moving so fast or what have you. Yeah, so for me, it's just about being able to still maintain the relationships with my community and knowing them.
Say you were to get to that echelon though, and I think one thing you say certain streamers, but I'm like, in my mind I'm thinking it's more of a numbers game. Like, imagine if people just come to your chat and then that chat is moving faster and it's harder to keep track, and the number the names start getting a little bit blurred because there's a ton of names. How do you keep that sense of community and camaraderie and in personal intention when things do get inflated to that point?
Yeah, I don't think, I mean, personally, like, it might just me being pessimistic, but I don't think that I would get to that point.
Interesting.
But it's also one of those, like, I think that I'm an acquired taste or very particular, like, I feel like I don't have a high, it's taken me a long time to get a bunch of consistent, like a solid, bigger, consistent community. And so I don't think I'm the kind of channel that a lot of people, I don't know, I don't think that I have the content or personality to draw a lot of people in like that, personally. But I think if a chat's moving super fast, like, you kind of just have to do your best to, like, address what you can, but also understand that you're going to miss some stuff. And I think that's what would be hard for me, because at present, I try to read every single comment in chat so that I, don't leave anyone out.
Aya, best and worst moments of streaming so far.
Best moments? Honestly, there was a moment on my streamiversary. It was a 24-hour stream. It was the end of the streamiversary. It started out as a bad moment. Basically, so I was in the bathroom recovering from eating a really spicy gummy bear, and Dom was on the stream, and someone asked him, they're like, "What is it like to ride Aya's coattails?" And that pissed me off.
What the?
That pissed me. That was rage like I've never known. And so I came out and I chewed him out for it. I was like, without saying fuck you, it was like, fuck you, like, how dare you, like, that's such a shitty thing to say to someone. But then it turned into a really cool moment where I also got to appreciate the community that I had. I was able to use that as a moment to be like, yeah, it sucks and I hate dealing with people like this while streaming. But it then allowed me to turn that into, I have such appreciation for the amazing people that I get to talk to every day. And, like, that's why I put up with that. That's why I deal with that. And that's why it's fine that happens, because I get to interact with such amazing people. And, like, I had a moment when that happened that it just kind of hit me how lucky I am to have the community that I have. And I think that's a high point for me of streaming overall, is the community. But I think that moment is just when I felt it. Like, I felt it. It was like the end of, like, the 1-year celebration stream that I was doing, and, like, just feeling so grateful for the community that I've been able to build in the past, like, year, and looking back on it and feel proud of something. So that's definitely the high point.
Yeah.
And then low point streaming. I mean, it's not even trolls, really, because trolls, we just kind of fuck with them back or ban them, so that doesn't really bother me too much. I feel like my low point streaming, I'd taken some time off, like, towards the beginning of quarantine, and I came back and it felt like everyone left. And for me, that was like a kind of a gut punch. I was like, if I stop, everyone leaves. And that's been pretty kind of instilled an unhealthy thing for me, where, like, I force myself to not take breaks, even if I need one, because I'm like, if I leave for a little bit, everyone leaves. But that being said, recently I've had to take some breaks for just a various amount of reasons, and my community is pretty consistent, and I'm very grateful, because, they continue to come back and they continue to support, whether that be just being in chat or lurking. But yeah, it was definitely a low point, because I felt like if I try to take time off, then they'll find the next great thing and they'll find something better. So.
No, I feel that that's a commonality with many streamers in taking time off because you ride the momentum, you ride the wave of how good the last stream was or how good the next stream can be. And so it's very I find those attributes to be why it's so addicting. It's weird. It's not even addicting in a way of satisfaction. It's like addicting in a way of necessity to survive on here. Question from Squad Domes. Where did you get your custom neon sign from?
I have a command in my chat, which I can actually, I don't know if I have the link, yeah. It's on an Etsy shop called Superlight. But there's a ton of shops on Etsy that do like neon LED signs, but the one particular shop is called Superlights. If you go into my chat and do !sign, it comes up with the link and you can click it and head right there.
Where do you want your community to go in the future? What is the overall goal of how you want it to be?
Again, it's if I could grow my community, ideally it's one of those like if I could support myself from stream, it's never the goal to be able to like that be my full-time job because I feel like when you put that much pressure on it, you take away some of the enjoyment of it. But if I could make more, that would be great, but that's not my end goal with streaming. My goal is to be able to have a community that I can engage with and talk to and hang out with. Which is what I have right now. So it's like hard to say, theoretically I shouldn't want anything else because I am very happy with what I have, but if I could grow it more and have a slightly bigger community, again, partner is something, I guess it's really more the title of being partner that I think would be cool, or to be able to say it. And that for me is more when I finally blend my real life and streaming life together. I want to be able to be like, see, I've been doing this stuff. Like, I've been doing the stuff that no one really knows about, but like, I'm doing pretty well at it. Like, it's more of me being able to feel validated in that. Like, I've been doing this thing, and it's actually been going well, because I feel like a lot of times people, they just don't consider, at least school-wise, life-wise, outside of streaming. It's just, I'm never like, people tend to not like me or dislike me. I'm just kind of there, but kind of forgettable, if that makes sense. So it's just kind of like being able to be like here's a thing that I did and it went pretty well. But that's not, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really matter because I have a really cool group of friends that I get to hang out with pretty much every day. So
any tips on how to balance college streaming and or work and maintain a healthy mindset?
It's hard. So for a while, I was doing tour guiding school and I had rehearsals every night for whatever show that I was doing with college. And I had to stick to a very strict schedule. It probably wasn't super healthy because, so I didn't have class every day, but when I didn't have class, I would sign up to do tour shifts, to do tour guiding. And basically what I did for a long while is I would be on the days that worked well with my class schedule. So like one day I had a really long class, so I just didn't stream on like Tuesday. But other days I would be like, okay, I've got this like 2 to 3 hour window. So I ran home from class, grabbed some food, and I ate very slowly, but I streamed during that window of time. And that was hard for me because I feel like a 2 to 3 hour period of time is just too short for a stream for me, like for what I usually do, what I like to do. And I don't like feeling like I have to end, because if things are happening, we're having a good conversation, I don't have to end it. But that was the only way that I could keep a consistent schedule, was like, okay, I know I scheduled it as if it were a class or like a shift. So I'd be like, all right, I get home from this 2:15 class, 2:30 I'll start streaming, and then I've got my rehearsal at like 4 or 5. So I've got to make sure I have time to like leave and go do that. But I think really it's just about scheduling it into your, if you schedule it as a part of your schedule, then it's something you know to expect. You can keep your consistency up with it. But then also understanding that life gets in the way, and if you can't stream because you need to study or you need to do something, at the end of the day, you should prioritize that. You know, like streaming is important, and ideally your community will understand that, like, I'm behind on this homework, or I need to study, I've got this really hard test tomorrow. That should take priority.
Exactly, truth. I got two more. One's a question, one's a statement. I will go with the question first, and I'll end with this paragraph of a statement. The question first states, at what point in streaming do you think it is appropriate to invest in more quality equipment or other things to improve the streaming experience?
That's a really good question. It's kind of a, I guess, obviously personal preference, but if you get like a consistent group, it's about investing what, I don't know, because I want to caution against over investing, obviously, because you don't want to make a giant financial leap and then not be able to like support it. A lot of times what I try to do is, if I'm trying to invest in something for stream, I fundraise through stream. So like anything that I earn from subs and stuff, or I set a donation goal, and anything from that goes directly back into stream. And that's what I've typically been doing, is when I make money from streaming, I reinvest it, because the way that I look at it is, you know, obviously like I use it for other things as well, like basic living and getting Maui more treats, but I try to reinvest, because these are people who enjoy the content and are investing in me as a streamer. I want to be able to take it, what they've given me, and give back to them in improving my stream.
True.
So the way that I would think about it is, try not to spend your own money on it. Try to use what you've earned. And so when you've earned enough to invest in it, then I feel like that's like a good way to invest. Because you don't want to just throw in hundreds of dollars that you're saving for something else without thought.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, and to even underline that, like, I know everyone wants to buy the nicest equipment, but it's a stepping stone. Like, don't start off with the highest equipment. Start off with things that will help you. It's the content. What is your content? You know, what is your thing? And even if we don't want to use words like content because it sounds too, you know, making this like a job, then the very basic question is, what are you doing on your stream? Okay. And then as soon as you can figure out what you want from your streaming experience and what you're doing on your stream, then you can act accordingly on, okay, is this worth the investment? You know, is this something that I need or I want? And it's that kind of mindset. But I fully agree with Aya on that one, where it's reinvesting in your stream. You know, this is hard-earned money that people are giving you, because they're like, I really love your content, I love what you're doing, and I want to be a part of it. And so I truly believe that there is a responsibility for every streamer to use that wisely. It's one of the reasons why I think I saw one streamer literally show the, like, not just how much he earned, but where specifically to the dollar amount everything was spent on. So he showed how much he paid the editors, how much he paid for equipment, what was the equipment, and that kind of transparency is insane. But I think it.
I was going to say, that's another thing that I think is also important as a streamer, is budgeting. Like, I have a spreadsheet on a Google Doc that's like how much I've earned. So like I log when I get donos. So it's like when, the amount, the PayPal amount, and the donor. And I have one for like each year, and then each Twitch payout, and then expenditures. So anything that I take from my Twitch earnings, I log it. When I spent it, how much I spent, what I spent it on. So then at the end of the year, I can look at what's the net earning and what am I left with? How much did I spend and what did I spend it on? It really helps you to just know what you're doing and where your money's going, so it doesn't all disappear.
Thank you, Aya. Thank you. There are some degens in the chat. I'm not going to name names. One of them might have a sword next to their name. I don't know. But it's just some degens that just don't believe in spreadsheets. You're such a boomer, moms. You're such a boomer. We don't need if I want to spend some subs on candies, so be it. I'm just saying, thank you, Aya, for affirming the Google spreadsheets. I actually owe you one to the person that I just called out. I sent it already to Parker. But the last thing here, Aya, before we move on to the final segment of the evening, all right, the last thing here reads, and I'll try my best to read it in my narration voice. It goes, wow, jeez. Okay. Aya, you are one of the kindest and smartest people I've ever met. The energy and care you put into your craft definitely shows, and I'm so happy to see your community responding in a way that you deserve. I'm glad to call you a friend, and I'm excited to continue watching you grow as an artist. Thank you. Thanks for staying you. Art. There's that. So, didn't squirm. Good.
I tried really hard to remain composed.
This is improvement, Aya. You're killing this. But Aya, like, before we get into my speech that I'll have of you at the very end, there's a couple things you've got to do for me. All right, you've absolutely and let me start off first. You've killed it this evening. A lot of people, they come on here and they're nervous, or they don't know what to expect in sense of like how the conversational flow will go, what will be brought up, not even between me, but from them within. And I just want to really thank you for your time and for your honesty and you being so brave and rising to the occasion and saying, you know what, I'm gonna wear me on my shoulder, on my chest, and tell my story. And so I applaud you and I appreciate you from that. But the two things I'm going to ask of you, Aya, all right? The first thing is, do you have the stream up right now?
I do, yes. All
right. Can you go and check who's chatting? Or not chatting. I'm sorry. Go check who's watching through the back end. Do you know that the icon on the top?
Yeah.
Yeah. And of the names, can you choose someone that's not myself, a VIP, or a mod? Anyone else? Anyone else?
Does it need to be someone that I don't know?
No, could be anyone. You can have favorites.
Okay.
As well as they've got to be here though. I gotta. When I call their name out, they got to be here.
I'm gonna say Boone.
Is Boone here? Is Boone even paying attention? We're talking Boone Daddy 69, correct?
Yeah. If he's not, then
there he is. There he is. Wow, quick on it, dude. Boone, you already know what this is. You've seen enough episodes of this. You've earned VIP here. So I'm spamming right now 5 VIPs. I just need you to choose one name, and we'll just take them out. All right?
No, I hate this part because now I feel mean.
You just take them out. Tupac, you got without hesitation, Boone, Daddy, 69, and you taken out. Wow. Without.
I guess it makes sense that someone's gonna lose it.
Oh, you got. That's how the rules go. I'm spelling Tupac wrong, dude. I am just a hot mess. There we go. Okay, great. And the second thing is, all right, I'm always, right now I am a little bit backed up on guests and streamers, but I'm always looking to watch new streamers, figure out who, you've gone through this experience with me, Aya. You've been here for over 3.5 hours, and it feels like a breeze, honestly. This time went by so quickly. And it was so much fun. And because you've already done this show, I'll hit you up on all the other stuff that we do here within this channel, within this little community of streamers that I've had the absolute blessing and opportunity to hang out with and just learn about their lives, even if it's just a morsel or a segment of it. But who is someone that you would like to watch on this show? Who's someone you would like to suggest that, you got to check this out. You got to check this person out, moms, and have the same conversation.
I feel like I'm biased I'm gonna say I am Hadriel, but I'm a little bit biased. But I also think that one of the things that I think is important to me is I think not a lot of people on his stream get to see the true depth of who he is as a I went back and forth with this for a really long time because I could say him and then I'm biased. I could say him and then or not say him and then feel shitty. But fuck it, I obviously think he's a great person, and that's for me the biggest thing. And I think that hearing about him on a deeper level is, I don't know, a lot of people haven't gotten that opportunity, and I think that people should.
You are stacking the ballots right now. You're stuffing the ballots right now. Stop the count, Aya. All right, perfect. I have it written down. I'll check it all out. And digest. But Aya, dude, you've killed it so far. And I know I keep saying it to myself, but I'm just so it's been such a blast and an honor to hear from you. you're familiar with the show Inside the Streamer Studio? I mean, Inside the Actor Studio? Holy cow, this is the first time
Yeah.
I've used it. Thank you.
Hold on,
Thank
hold
the
on.
Lord.
I'm so sorry.
Go
Just
ahead.
give me 1 minute. My cat's on
Do
my
your thing.
counter. Oh my god, Maui.
Adorable. Cat's on the counter. The cat's on the
Baby,
counter.
no. I'm sorry. She was licking the dishes on the counter, and
I've been slowly watching Maui go from the top of your couch from your neon sign all the way around the couch over the course of tonight. I love
Yeah.
it. That's such a cute name too. But you know the show Inside the Actor Studio. James Lipton, 23 years. Bring him on. Same 10 questions. All right. I got 10 questions for you. It's the exact same 10 questions that he's asked every guest on his show. And as an homage, I do the same here. You're the 36th. All right. So the only two rules, Aya, and it's very simple. First one is I will not react to any of your answers. I'm going to stay completely silent, and I'm just going to let you talk until I hear a pause. I'll move on. And the second rule is to make sure it's within one thought bubble. So it's not necessarily one word. It's not necessarily a whole paragraph of explanation, but just one thought. All right? All right. You're good to go?
Mhm.
All right. Question 1. What is your favorite word?
my favorite word. Word isn't like that's a question, real quick. It's word. Like, okay. Sorry. I was just wanting to make sure I heard it right. I think my favorite word would be passion because it has so much to it and it can mean so many things, but mostly that's what drives people and that's what makes people do the things that they do, no matter regardless of what it is, whether it's what you do as a career or the change that you make in the world or how you feel about people. It has so many important meanings and so many important resulting actions.
What is your least favorite word?
I want to say moist, but I'm going to go with failure instead because it has the meaning is the meaning is deeper. I think failure kind of like it's an end. It's a stopping in my mind. It's a stopping point. It's that you can't do something and you have to stop trying, which shouldn't always be how you view the word. But for me, it's always been such a I don't want to be a failure. I don't want to disappoint people. I want to be able to achieve the things I set out to achieve. So that word to me can be such a gut punch sometimes.
What turns you on?
That's hard. Um, I don't know. I guess it's physical, like proximity to a person that you care about and trust. It's also a level of trust. I mean, for me, that's one of the most important things is to be with someone that I can trust and that I know I can be myself with. I can do stupid things and say stupid things and they're not going to judge me for it. And it's just about figuring it out. So I think it's the trust and being with someone who I trust and I know cares about me.
What turns you off?
Arrogance. Arrogance in the sense that they can do no wrong. They're never everyone's an idiot. Being condescending, like that shit is the worst to me. If you feel like you can't learn, I don't want to have a conversation. And if you think that you are the pinnacle of everything, I can't do it. I can't. I mean, confidence is one thing. Absolutely.
What sound or noise do you love?
I just really like it's either nature sounds like cicadas had a lot of that when I was younger, or like the sound of the ocean, or just the breeze outside, but also like the sound of purring is soothing to me. Like the sound of like if I have a hard time falling, I'll just pet Maui, and like her purring just makes me feel really calm.
What sound or noise do you hate?
There are a lot of them, but crinkling chip bags is one of the absolute worst. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Like if someone's crinkling chips, and even worse, like open mouth chewing them, I just like want to scream.
What is your favorite curse word?
I want to default to fuck because I feel like it's also such a funny word to me. But one of my new favorites is a take on shit, and it's shint. And I just think it's really funny. So
What profession, other than your own, would you like to attempt?
maybe something in psychology or sociology. Like I'm very interested in understanding people, and in that same vein, having tools and techniques to better understand myself, because I think it's important to be self-aware and be able to reflect and know. So if there's an instance where, let's say, you get really mad and yell at someone, that you can take a step back and say, okay, why did that happen to me? Where did that response come from? So that you can learn from that and grow from it, instead of just living your life doing shit and not understanding any right. Um, and it also, understanding others helps you to not always take things personal when they're angry or mean, and it allows you to have better relationships by understanding other people and different types of.
What profession would you now like to do?
Politics or being a lawyer, because I feel like I'd start to get upset and I'd just start crying and be in the courtroom and be like, no, but like innocent, or just all the mudslinging. I hate it. It's so much negativity and negative energy, and I just, the idea of that, just I feel all like overwhelmed just thinking about it.
And lastly, Aya, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
In my concept of heaven, it's not so much how God would address me, but it's about being able to see the people I miss. Like for me, it's not about what God would say to me about being there. It's just about being able to hug my grandma or my aunt or the people that I've lost and that I care about. That would be the best version of heaven for me.
There you go. And ladies and gentlemen, Miss AyaYoshi. Aya, dude, thank you so much for everything. What
Thank
a
you for
fantastic.
having me. It
No.
was such a good time.
It honestly, like it's one of those things where I was like, I had watched you in the past, and I know we had never talked prior. I want people to understand that this is the first real conversation we've had ever.
Yeah.
So to have this kind of depth and transparency and weight, but good weight, like things that I truly honestly believe, not just whether it be the people that were watching today or whatever, especially myself, there's so much that could be taken and applied, and it's just refreshing to hear someone's story, someone's perspective in life, that isn't similar to mine, that we've lived two different lives, and then I fell in love with it. It's so great. Oh my goodness. But most of all, I just want to be able to say this, all right? I've had 36 interviews. I've met 36 different streamers, each of them very unique and beautiful in their own right. And with yourself, Aya, what my hot takes of speaking to you for about 3.5 hours, what I've learned is that you're a very strong woman. Okay, you've gone through a lot of shit in your life, and that kind of shit, that kind of storm, has, while in the moment was debilitating and paralyzing and brutal, it has made you so ironclad where you are right now. And just seeing your mental, seeing how you talk about Dom, seeing how you talk about where you're moving in life and what you're doing right now and in the future, I see such a strong individual in front of me. And maybe I might be reading the picture wrong. Like you said, you're very good at being able to convince whatever, but genuinely, from what I'm seeing, I see someone talented. I understand that you say that, the whole big community, the whole partner stuff might not, that's my aspiration, but I don't know if that's me. I would just empower you to go where you can go. Take it as far as you can go, because I genuinely believe I could see the entertainment in you and taking that dramatic / comedy style that you have as a streamer and going places with it. I honestly, genuinely, I'm so appreciative of your time, and even more appreciative of your story and trusting your community to come down here. But I want to give you the final words, all right? Final words before we got to disconnect from this voice call. And believe me, I got a couple other shows, and I would love to have you back for those are much less intense, and they're literally just hanging out. And if you'd like to have a drink with you, wine or not at all wine or whatever, even just bring food on there, bag of chips or chips in a bowl so you don't have to listen to the bag. I would absolutely love to have you, Aya. This has been a pleasure. But final words are yours. Anything, what are you working on in your stream? Is there anything that you have event-wise? Anything you'd like to say? It's all yours before we separate.
Yeah, so Thursday's stream is a Celebrate Cowboy stream. He is the hardest working mod in the entire world. He puts in so much work, asks nothing in return at all, won't tell us when his birthday is. So I have, grab it.
Cowboy. What is this?
My cowboy hat. I'm ready for Cowboy stream. Cowboy stream this Thursday. Everybody come in and tell him how much you love him and appreciate him. It's not an option. It's not optional.
It's not an
We're showing
option,
him love,
guys.
and he hates it, but he has to deal with it.
No shot, bucko. He's gonna love it.
That is the things that I have coming up. But yeah, I'm just always interested in making new content. I am kind of interested in doing a podcast of some sort, but I have no idea what I want. And if you ever want to come by and hang out, I'd love to meet you. Like I say, my community, best thing about it is that I get to know all of you and I get to hang out with you and make friends with all of you, and that's the best thing for me. Because I am aware that my stream is without everybody, because without everybody, it's just me looking at a camera waiting for someone to type. So I am so appreciative, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's here right now, whether it be coming from my community or here from Mom's community, because I am just so grateful and so thankful that you listened to me ramble for as long as I did.
No.
But I'm just so thankful and grateful for all of it. And thank you to you, moms. I appreciate you. You were made to do this kind of hosting thing 100%, and you nail it. If anyone were to be doing this segment, it was meant to be you. So I want to thank you as well.
I appreciate that dearly. All right, you have a good night. I'll catch you again later in DMs. I'll DM you a nice little note. But have a good night, Aya. Thanks for being here.
No worries. Bye.
Goodness, guys. Goodness. She's so cool.